Chapter 187. The Heavenly Longevity Technique, Great Dream Immortal City. _1. If I didn't use talisman treasures or talismans relying solely on my own strength, it wouldn't be so simple to kill a cultivator at the energy refinement late stage. Lu Changxing gazed at the elderly man he had slain, feeling an immense calm within. Pft. A flame bullet technique manifested in his palm and shot towards the elder's charred body, burning the corpse to ashes. Lu Changxing then reached out with a large hand, and his spiritual force palm collected the old man's storage bag into his own possession. When Lu Changxing returned to his original spot, he saw Xia Long was no longer in the air, having descended to the ground to rest. He was already severely injured before, relying on a secret technique to suppress his wounds. But the attack from Yin Thunderchild caused all his severe injuries to erupt, becoming even more critical. His entire body was emanating an air of death, giving off the impression of a lamp running out of oil. Cough cough cough. Thank you, Lu Daoist, for saving my life. Please accept Xia's bow. Xia Long sat on the ground, coughing up black blood and slightly bowing to Lu Changxing as a gesture of thanks. Then, with trembling hands, he took out 2 storage bags from his garment and said, Lu Daoist, now that I am on the verge of death, what I cannot let go of the most are my children in the mortal world. If possible, I hope Lu Daoist can take care of my son. This is all my wealth, including a Foundation Establishment Spirit Object and chances I've obtained from the Purple Shadow Secret Realm. Take them as your reward. Xia Long handed over the storage bags to Lu Changxing, speaking in a feeble tone. He was very clear about his present condition, teetering on the brink of death. Unless there was a precious elixir or a medical expert to prolong his life. But now, with neither condition feasible, there was only the road to death. He even worried whether Lu Changxing might covet his wealth. It would be better to offer everything he had on his person of his own volition. To beseech Lu Changxing to look after his children. Although he wasn't very familiar with Lu Changxing. They had only had sporadic contact and a few dealings in the past. However, based on their interactions and Lu Changxing's timely assistance, Xia Long felt that he was a decent person, righteous in character. Take care of your children? Upon hearing this, Lu Changxing's brow furrowed slightly. He had previously heard from Xia Long that he had a family in the mortal world, including a pair of children. He had fought so hard, hunting demon beasts and exploring ancient ruins not only to seek a chance at Foundation establishment but also to pave the way for his son. Unexpectedly, facing death, Xia Long was still preoccupied with his children. Ah, what trouble you've brought upon yourself, Xia Daoist. Lu Changxing sighed softly. In his view, if Xia Long hadn't been so desperate, given his cultivation level, he would surely have led a more than comfortable life. If Lu Daoist is unwilling, then let it be. Consider these things a token of gratitude for saving my life. The pale Xia Long said with bitterness in his voice. Ah, the love of a parent is indeed hard to fathom. Looking at the once resolute and steady Xia Long, who was now pale and pitiful with eyes filled with pleading, Lu Changxing sighed again. The dying request of a Daoist, it's hard for Lu to refuse. But Lu himself is in a situation, as you know, Xia brother, where I truly have no time to care for others. I can only deliver your ashes back home. If you have any last words or instructions, I can pass them on for you. Lu Changxing spoke. He himself had many children to support and take care of. Where would he find the time to look after another person's children? Moreover, he remembered Xia Long mentioning that his children were not that young anymore. Thank you, Lu Daoist. Xia Long, upon hearing this, felt somewhat dejected. But he also understood that this was human nature. For Lu Changxing to be willing to do this was already more than enough. He immediately began to arrange his affairs. He told Lu Changxing about his family in the mortal world and the matters he wanted to pass on. He also mentioned that in the house he rented in the Nine Dragons Market, there was a set of a first-grade superior 5-element formation called Heavenly Canopy 5 Elements Formation, which could trap enemies and block qi. Lu Changxing could take it when the time came. Underneath the small tree in the courtyard, another storage bag was buried, containing 300 spirit stones for emergencies. He hoped that these spirit stones could be delivered to his son by Lu Changxing. After concluding his final instructions, Xia Long seemed to deflate, closed his eyes and collapsed powerlessly to the ground. Xia brother, rest easy. I will give the spirit stones to your son. Lu Changxing looked at Xia Long's body in front of him and sighed softly. A gentleman loves money but obtains it in a proper way. He didn't see himself as a paragon of virtue. But in this situation, for these 300 spirit stones, he was still willing to send them back. Just then Xia Long's eyes opened slightly. With a frail voice he whispered, My daughter is also of age to be in the bridal chamber. If Lu Daoist is interested, you may take her as a concubine." Having spoken his last, he finally breathed no more. This Xia Daoist really devoted himself to laying out a path for his son. Even at the moment of death, his heart was more preoccupied with his son, thinking of marrying his daughter to me, also in the hopes that I would look after her. Lu Changxing looked at Xia Long, shaking his head and speaking with emotion. Xia Long indeed had a pair of children, but in his final instructions, the focus was mainly on his son. He mentioned that his son would turn 12 next year, hoping to be accepted into an immortal sect. He wanted Lu Changxing to pass on certain instructions on his behalf, and even this last statement in Lu Changxing's view, was for the sake of his son. These sorts of matters were not for Lu Changxing to judge or comment on. Looking at Xia Long's body, once sure he was dead, Lu Changxing cast a flame bullet technique, reducing Xia Long to ashes. Then he took out a jade box, slightly raised his hand and gathered the ashes into the box. Just now Xia Long mentioned the Purple Shadow secret realm. He was coming from there when he encountered treachery. Chapter 188. The Heavenly Longevity Technique, Great Dream Immortal City. The Purple Shadow secret realm has ended now, and I don't know if anyone from the Lu family has come out alive or gained any treasures. Lu Changxing thought to himself. Just now, Xia Long asked him to tell his son not to seek revenge. Lu Changxing also took the opportunity to ask about the situation in the Purple Shadow secret realm. He learned that this time, the death rate inside had reached a staggering 60 to 70%. Originally, Xia Long had entered with a team of 6, but in the end only 2 came out. One of them was the owner of the small talisman shop just now. It turned out that on the way back the owner of the shop suddenly attacked Xia Long, leading to the scene Lu Changxing had witnessed. This made Lu Changxing sigh at how money could move people's hearts. He was also worried about the situation of the Lu family. Without further thought, Lu Changxing found the body of the young man from earlier, collected his magic artifacts and storage bag. He then used the beast control token to recall the frightened iron feather eagle and put it into the spiritual pet bag. Taking out an escape talisman, he left the area, found a cave and began to tally his gains. The Heaven and Earth Longevity Technique? To steal the vitality of heaven and earth for oneself. Lu Changxing, after looking through the storage bag of Xia Long, found a green jade slip and was startled by its contents. It contained a cultivation method called Heaven and Earth Longevity Technique. It allowed one to ignore innate talent. As long as one cultivated step by step, one could eventually achieve core formation and nascent soul without any bottlenecks. Moreover, at the foundation establishment stage, one would possess a 300-year lifespan, at core formation 800 years, and at nascent soul stage 2000 years. Of course, as formidable as this technique was, it also had a particularly harsh condition and a serious flaw. First, to cultivate the Heaven and Earth Longevity Technique, one needed to find a spirit plant of heaven and earth. Then, this spirit plant had to be refined into one's life-bound spiritual root. After that, the planter had to cultivate and nurture this spirit plant. With the help of the spirit plant, one could draw essence from heaven and earth, endless vitality, to nourish oneself. This would allow the cultivator of this technique to ignore their own innate talent, cultivate without any bottlenecks, and practice all the way to the nascent soul stage. Furthermore, their lifespan would far surpass that of cultivators at the same realm. A spirit plant that can be called a treasure of heaven and earth must at least be a third-rank spirit plant. To sustain such a plant, it must at least be planted above a second-grade spirit vein. And if one wishes to cultivate a third-rank spirit plant to perfection, to draw the essence of heaven and earth, endless vitality, then it must be planted in a land with a third-rank spirit vein. Moreover, once the spirit plant is planted, in order to cultivate the Heaven and Earth Longevity Technique, the cultivator cannot stray too far from the plant, effectively being bound to one place. Even if one meets these harsh conditions and cultivates the Heaven and Earth Longevity Technique, it also incredibly limited. Because the Heaven and Earth Longevity Technique is solely for the purpose of cultivation longevity, forsaking all offensive and defensive capabilities. All mana is used for nurturing the flesh and soul, leaving oneself without any combat ability. Even if one breaks through to the core formation stage, combat ability would only be comparable to the foundation establishment stage, and after breaking through to the nascent soul stage, it would only be comparable to the core formation stage. Lu Changxing looked at the recorded technique within the jade slip and couldn't help but shake his head. This technique was truly against the heavens. It allowed one to ignore the quality of their spiritual roots and cultivate to the nascent soul stage without any bottlenecks. And the lifespan is double that of peers at the same realm. But the conditions for cultivation were also extremely harsh. And its flaw was very apparent. Once cultivated, there would be no spells or abilities to protect oneself. On the path of cultivation there are countless hardships. If there is no divine protection or skills for battle, what use is a longer life? Sooner or later, it will end with both body and path perishing. This heaven and earth longevity technique is only suitable for the powerful and their kin within the cultivation world, who have protection, do not need to fight with others and can live peacefully in their own haven. Otherwise, for ordinary cultivators, this method's harsh conditions alone are enough to make one give up, let alone achieve successful cultivation. Lu Changxing exclaimed aloud. But the next moment, Lu Changxing's brow furrowed as if had thought of something. Although the heaven and earth longevity technique is not suitable for me, it's quite suitable for the likes of Xinjin and Miaoyun, even the children like Xiaoqi who could cultivate this heaven and earth longevity technique in the future. As long as I become a nascent soul immortal or a nascent soul true lord, I can provide such conditions for cultivation, offer them a pure land, and let them practice the heaven and earth longevity technique. Lu Changxing suddenly thought to himself. For himself, with the backing of a system, Lu Changxing was confident that his future cultivation would be unhindered. But for his wives and children it was difficult. Chu Xinjin, with an 8th grade spiritual root, had taken many years just to break through to the 2nd level of energy refinement. Lu Miaoyun, although she had a 7th grade spiritual root and was at the 4th level of energy refinement when she married him. But because of childbirth and taking care of the children, her cultivation progressed very slowly. She is still at the peak of the 4th level of energy refinement. She had almost given up on cultivation. As for Lu Xinji, Lu Chuanjin, and the other children, they had spiritual roots but all were lower-grade spiritual roots. Lu Changxing did not believe that he had the ability to nurture all these children, so they could establish foundation and form their cores in the future. Now seeing this heaven and earth longevity technique, he felt that once he had the conditions he could definitely let his wives and daughters cultivate this technique. It would make their cultivation path much simpler in the future. And he didn't need his wives and children to fight in battles. This matter is still too far off for me right now. I must at least become a core formation true monarch and possess a land with my own spirit vein. Lu Changxing took a deep breath and let it out, refusing to think further on this matter. Chapter 189. The Heavenly Longevity Technique, Great Dream Immortal City. Thinking about this now is still too early. However, the Heavenly Longevity Technique added an urgency to his cultivation practice. Then Lu Changxing continued to sort through the 3 people's storage bags. After a long while, the storage bags of the 3 were sorted. There were 1,256 spirit stones. 1 piece of physical foundation establishment spiritual object. 1 top-grade magic artifact. 4 high-grade magic artifacts. 7 middle-grade magic artifacts. 1 second-grade middle-class puppet. 3 second-grade lower-class puppets. Over 100 talismans. Various elixir medicines. A number of spirit plants and spiritual medicines. Xia Long and the owner of this small talisman shop must have gone to explore the secret realm, exchanging all their spirit stones for elixir medicines, talismans, or treasures like the Lockhart goo. As a result, they didn't carry many spirit stones on them. However, these magic artifacts, talismans, puppets, and spirit plant materials should be worth a few thousand spirit stones. After sorting through their belongings, Lu Changxing held a brocade box and said. Inside the brocade box was a fist-sized, bright red fruit with blood-red patterns flowing on it, which was quite mysterious. And with this blood-yang fruit, a foundation establishment spiritual object that helps break through the 3rd barrier of foundation establishment, blood-chi barrier. I also gathered all the foundation establishment spiritual objects required for the 3 barriers of foundation establishment. It's just a pity that I don't have the main ingredient for the foundation establishment elixir, the heavenly spirit fruit, otherwise my foundation establishment elixir would have been settled. Lu Changxing thought to himself. Previously he had learned about the foundation establishment elixir, thinking that he might be able to refine it if he advances to 2nd rank in alchemy in the future. But after understanding more he realized he was being overly optimistic. The difficulty of refining the foundation establishment elixir was one thing. The hardest part was gathering the materials for the elixir, especially the main ingredient, the heavenly spirit fruit. This heavenly spirit fruit is only consistently produced within the Purple Shadow secret realm. It's very rare elsewhere. This is also why the Purple Shadow secret realm is controlled by the major immortal sects. Foundation establishment elixirs seldom make it to the outside world. Soon after, Lu Changxing took a short break to allow the Iron Feather Eagle to recover, and then he rode it back to the Nine Dragons Market. He planned to clean out Xiaolong's belongings. This time, he didn't use his real appearance but disguised himself as an ordinary-looking, simple-minded young man. Following Xiaolong's instructions on the formation, Lu Changxing entered Xiaolong's home and dismantled the Heavenly Canopy 5 Elements formation in his yard. This high-grade formation was also worth over 1,000 spirit stones. Then, according to Xiaolong's words, he dug out another storage bag from beneath a tree in the yard. It contained 300 spirit stones. Lu Changxing also took a look around the house. He collected a few of Xiaolong's belongings as keepsakes for his wives and children. After finishing up, Lu Changxing left the Nine Dragons Square. He didn't immediately go to Xiaolong's mortal family. Instead he went home first. His 60th child was due in about half a month. 2 days later, Lu Changxing returned to Qingzhou Mountain without any issues. After chatting with Lu Miaoyun, Lu Changxing learned that Lu Yuanshan, who was sent by the Lu family to the Purple Shadow secret realm, had returned. But he came back missing an arm. Of the 2 Lu family disciples who went with him, only Lu Miaoquan returned. Lu Miaofa did not return, having fallen in the Purple Shadow secret realm. As for the gains in the Purple Shadow secret realm, Lu Miaoyan didn't know either. If Lu Yuanshan didn't acquire the heavenly spirit fruit in the Purple Shadow secret realm, then this would be a substantial loss for the Lu family, Lu Changxing thought upon hearing this news. A cultivator like Lu Yuanshan, once missing an arm, would see a significant decrease in combat capability. And with a damaged body, impacting his foundation establishment chances, had likely have no future prospects of achieving foundation establishment. And an elite scion like Lu Miaofa, such talents are few within the entire Lu family. They are the core of the family's combat strength and the seedlings for foundation establishment. Each loss represented a great loss for the Lu family. About these matters Lu Changxing didn't dwell on them too much. This sort of thing is not up to him to concern himself with or worry about. He was simply watching to see if the Lu family would have any new foundation-building great cultivators emerge within the next 2 years. If not, it would indicate that Lu Yuanshan probably didn't harvest much in the Purple Shadow secret realm. Or to put it another way, the cultivators the Lu family was preparing to advance to foundation establishment had failed to break through. A few years from now, the chances of a new foundation-building great cultivator emerging would also be slim. Meanwhile, on the northern boundary of Jianghu country, Great Dream Marsh. Above the endless waters, a pretty girl in a purple dress was maneuvering a flying artifact, and then suddenly stopped. In front of her was a small island, on top of which stood a towering and majestic city, brimming with spiritual light. The city walls stretch beyond sight. Only through the spiritual light can one faintly see the circles of walls within, and buildings that resemble mountains. Around the city gates, numerous cultivators, some on sword flight, some on flying boats, and some riding spiritual beasts as mounts, created a dazzling scene. There were even powerful breaths flying through the sky, indicating their status as foundation-building great cultivators, causing other cultivators to consciously make way. Now that I already have the main ingredient for the foundation establishment elixir, the heavenly spirit fruit. The 2 auxiliary ingredients that I lack can be entirely purchased in this Great Dream Immortal City. Once all the materials are gathered, this Great Dream Immortal City will have a second-rank alchemist capable of refining foundation establishment elixir. Then I can have him refine the foundation establishment elixir for me. Meng Xiaochan descended from the flying artifact and walked toward the city's main entrance. On the city gate, several tens of zhang hai, were the 4 large characters, Great Dream Immortal City, boldly inscribed. They involuntarily inspired a sense of simplicity and a vast, majestic aura. I've heard that this Qin Ping, the alchemist, can produce at least 1 foundation establishment elixir each time he lights the oven. Normally he can make 2 foundation establishment elixirs, and if luck serves, even 3. Meng Xiaochan thought about how her foundation establishment elixir was soon to be secured. In that moment, an image of a handsome, upright young man appeared in her mind. When he attempts to break through to foundation establishment in the days to come, he will surely need a foundation establishment elixir too. If I give him one then, he would certainly be very pleased, wouldn't he? But what reason should I use to give him the foundation establishment elixir? As far as I know, he's quite a flirt and has many wives and concubines. If I give him the foundation establishment elixir, what am I to do if he then proposes and asks me to become his Tao companion? Meng Xiaoquan's mood suddenly became indecisive, and her cheeks bloomed with a flush. At that time, should I accept or not? If I agree straight away, wouldn't it seem too hasty and make me look undignified? Meng Xiaoquan's heart raced in that moment, like a deer in chaos, as she instinctively covered her flushed cheeks with her hands. Her mind raced with thoughts of the potential scene. And then, in the next moment, Meng Xiaoquan suddenly shook herself sharply. Fear flashed through her eyes. No, I must break through to foundation establishment as soon as possible, or else the influence of the Lockhart Gu will become more severe on me. Meng Xiaoquan bit her lip, pointed a finger at her forehead, and her eyes shone with determination. Half a month later, Lu Changsheng's 60th child was born. There's no gift money? Lu Changsheng saw that the child was born without hearing about any gift money from the system, and he felt somewhat disappointed. In the past, for every 10 children born he would get a lottery draw. But now that it was gone, he couldn't help feeling a bit let down, given his anticipation. Well, if it's gone, it's gone. After all, I had already guessed that it couldn't always be like this, relying on spending energy to have kids in order to gain the rewards. Lu Changsheng exhaled lightly, soon coming to terms with it in his heart. In this regard, he had long expected that this path of gaming rewards through childbearing would reach its limit sooner or later. And when it reached that limit, he would have to cultivate his children more and uplift himself in other ways. Since relying on having many children to farm rewards isn't viable anymore, it's about time I practiced more selective and quality breeding. Lu Changsheng pondered in his heart. In the last 3 years, he had almost directly had 40 children, more than in the previous 5 years. Aside from relying on a sea of children to hit the jackpot, Lu Changsheng didn't deny that he also liked the idea of gaming the system by breeding. Now that the difficulty of gaming rewards through children had increased, and the cost-performance ratio had decreased, Lu Changsheng felt it was also time to slow down that pace a bit, and focus on having children primarily with wives and concubines who had spiritual roots. Over the years, he was quite satisfied with the probability of children born to wives and concubines with spiritual roots inheriting them as well. This approach would also allow him more time and energy to concentrate on cultivation. After all, frequent childbearing also affected his cultivation speed to some extent. Chapter 190, Father's Friend. _1 Yunzhou, Tying County Town. So this is where Xia Long settled his children? Lu Changsheng gazed at the ordinary courtyard before him. Because Xia Long was often adventuring away from home, he had made some enemies. Therefore he did not keep his children by his side. He settled them in the secular world and hired an old servant to take care of them. Thump thump thump. Lu Changsheng stepped forward and knocked on the door. Soon the door creaked open. Young master, whom are you looking for? The door was opened by a girl dressed in a pale blue silk dress. She appeared to be about 15 or 16, with a slightly green melon-seed face and a delicate figure, brimming with youthful vitality. Lu Changsheng immediately recognized that the girl before him possessed some cultivation. But her cultivation level was only at the second layer of qi practice. Is this Xia Long's daughter? Who would have thought Xia Long, with his thick eyebrows and large eyes, would have such a beautiful daughter? Lu Changsheng felt a slight surprise in his heart. He then smiled and said, "May I ask if this is Xia Guang's home?" Xia Long's real name was Xia Guang and Xia Long was just an alias. "Yes, sir." "Are you here to see my father for something?" The girl asked upon hearing him. "I am a friend of Xia Guang and have been entrusted by him to come here." Lu Changsheng spoke softly. "My father's friend? Here by his entrusting?" The girl paused slightly upon hearing this. She immediately invited Lu Changsheng into the courtyard. In the courtyard there was also an old man with gray hair, dressed in a gray long robe. "Miss, who is this?" The old man saw Lu Changsheng and immediately his expression tightened, his eyes revealing a cautious look as he inquired. Lu Changsheng knew that this old man was the servant Xia Long had arranged for his children. This old servant had not cultivated but was trained in martial arts. He was a martial Dao innate master. "This young master is a friend of father's, here on father's entrustment," Xia Zizhu said clearly. "The master's friend?" The old servant still harbored a cautious look after hearing this. "Rest assured, my visit is indeed about affairs entrusted by Xia Guang." Lu Changsheng saw the old man's caution and said blandly, He lifted his hands slightly and a ball of flame puff appeared, heating the air around them. It turns out we're in the presence of an immortal master. My apologies for the offense, please forgive me. Seeing this skill from Lu Changxing, the old servant no longer doubted and bowed in greeting. I wonder what a fair father has entrusted to the senior. After leading Lu Changxing to the living room, Xia Zizhu pressed her lips together, her expression a mix of nervousness and hope. Her father seldom brought any friends home, nor had he asked friends to visit. This unexpected commission filled her with an ominous premonition. Lu Changxing sighed softly upon seeing the girl's expression. He took out Xia Long's urn from the storage bag. Xia Long met with misfortune while competing for an opportunity outside and passed away. Before his death, he entrusted me with some affairs, asking me to inform you and your brother. Lu Changxing spoke out loud. How can this be? The girl, struck as if by lightning, turned pale as her usually bright and tender face lost all color, feeling icy cold in her hands and feet. Father. Then, with a face full of grief and sorrow, she cried out woefully and fell to the ground, powerless. Take solace in conformity to fate. Lu Changxing promptly supported the soft body of the girl. In his heart he also took this as a warning. One must be more cautious in life and actions. Otherwise, in case of an unforeseen incident, the situation Xia Long found himself in would be a sobering precedent. Father lied to me. You clearly said that after this year, you would stop adventuring and stay home to accompany me and my brother. How could you be gone? The girl's face, filled with sorrow, presented a pitiful and tearful sight, her lips trembling. After a moment, she realized that she was somewhat uncontrolled and hastily wiped away her tears. Her face slightly flushed, she bowed gracefully to Lu Changxing, saying, Thank you, Senior, for understanding my loss of composure. It's all right, such emotions are natural for anyone. Lu Changxing sighed lightly. If she hadn't shown any grief or sorrow, he wouldn't have known what to say. Seeing the girl's mood start to stabilize, Lu Changxing began to convey Xia Long's last words and affairs. At this time, Xia Zizhu also called back her brother, Xia Zhaoyang. Xia Zhaoyang was 11 years old this year, becoming increasingly handsome. Dressed in a light green scholar's robe, he had an air of scholarly elegance. He bore a resemblance to his father, Xia Long, but they differed greatly in temperament. Lu Changxing guessed that Xia Long had fought his way up on his journey. Therefore he took great care to protect his son. He didn't want his son to follow his own path. Hopefully in the future he could enter an immortal sect and cultivate peacefully. Learning of his father's demise, Xia Zhaoyang too was deeply grieved. But his character was resolute, and he bowed in gratitude to Lu Changxing. Then Lu Changxing took out a few of Xia Long's personal items, and a storage bag containing 300 spirit stones, and handed them to the siblings. Now that Xia Long's entrusted matters are fully conveyed, I shall take my leave. Having finished explaining the matters, Lu Changxing turned to depart. Thank you, Senior, for returning my father's belongings and ashes. Such a great kindness leaves us, brother and sister, without the means to repay. I am willing to become a servant or maid to repay this debt of gratitude to the Senior. At this moment, with lips lightly pursed and eyes brimming with tears, Xia Zizhu knelt resolutely before Lu Changxing and said, There's no need for that, Xia Long has already compensated me for this matter, Lu Changxing replied, reaching out to help the girl up. But she was stubborn, seemingly unwilling to rise unless Lu Changxing agreed. Now my brother and I are all alone in this world and it's difficult to survive. I hope, for my father's sake, you can look after my brother a bit. I am willing to serve you as a servant or maid, to labor like an ox or horse, to repay this debt of gratitude. The girl looked up at Lu Changxing with a pitiful and touching gaze. Chapter 191. Father's Friend. She was very clear in her heart that now with her father gone, she and her brother were on their own. Survival might not be jeopardized. But the future pursuit of cultivation would be extremely difficult. Although they had inherited some wealth, that wealth could also become a danger. Moreover, it was uncertain whether her father had enemies out there. Since her father had entrusted their matters to the man before her, Lu Changxing, and Lu Changxing did not covet their wealth, it proved his character was trustworthy. Therefore, under such circumstances, after briefly considering it in her mind, she decided to offer herself to Lu Changxing as a servant or a maid. The man before her, Lu Changxing, was not only her father's good friend and a cultivator, but he was also reliable in character. He was also handsome and elegant like a charming young noble, causing her no discomfort and even a favorable impression. If she were to serve by Lu Changsheng's side, it would not only resolve her and her brother's predicament, but also allow her to look after her brother in the future. Lu Changsheng looked at Xia Zhiyue and after a brief moment of contemplation he said, "Let's do this. I can send you to a good friend's place to stay for now. Wait until Qingyun sect's Immortal sect examination begins, he'll come over and take your brother to the Qingyun sect to participate. If you need anything during this time, you can also send a message to me. As for serving as a slave or maid, there's no need. If you insist on it, I could take you as my concubine," Lu Changxing said. Xia Zhiyue, standing before him, was beautiful with a spiritual root and no complex family background to cause trouble. For him to take her as a concubine was naturally no issue. Xia Long had mentioned too that he could take his daughter as a concubine. But Xia Zhiyue still had a brother. If he took Xia Zhiyue away, he couldn't possibly neglect Xia Zhaoyang. Judging by Xia Zhaoyang's current behavior, his character was acceptable and not troublesome. But bringing Xia Zhaoyang back to Qingzhou Mountain, Lu Changxing felt it was not good, not convenient. Thus, Lu Changxing thought to send the siblings to Rui Prefecture first and ask Hong Yi to look after them, and to observe their characters. If their characters proved to be fine, he could take Zhiyue as his concubine later on. Moreover, from Xia Long's last words, his son had an excellent spiritual root, almost certain to be accepted into the Immortal sects. If Xia Zhaoyang entered the Immortal sects in the future, he himself would have another connection. After all, he long preferred a secluded life, which inevitably led to scarcity of information. Having a younger brother-in-law in the sects could provide more sources of information on major affairs. "Thank you, senior." Upon hearing this, Xia Zhiyue immediately bowed to Lu Changxing with grateful joy on her face. She also pulled Xia Zhaoyang along to bow deeply to Lu Changxing. The little lady also wishes to simply handle father's funeral and arrange for him to be buried next to mother. At that moment, Xia Zhiyue pressed her lips together and continued to speak. "It's no trouble, I can stay here for a few days and you can handle whatever you need." Lu Changxing nodded and said, "Thank you, Uncle Lu." Xia Zhiyue once again bowed to Lu Changxing. Her address changed from young noble to senior and now to uncle. Lu Changxing didn't mind this much. He waved his hand and had Xia Zhiyue arrange a room for him. The secular world's spiritual energy is really too sparse. Without a spirit-gathering array or elixir medicines like spirit stones, cultivation is simply too slow. After attempting meditation, Lu Changxing slightly shook his head and took out 2 spirit stones. In the blink of an eye, 7 days passed. During these days, Xia Zhiyue and her brother started to take care of their father's funeral and such. Lu Changxing, having nothing better to do, also lent a hand. After all, the siblings had a tough time by themselves. Everything went smoothly. After the simple proceedings were done, Xia Zhiyue expressed her intention to follow Lu Changxing's prior arrangements. "Rest well today and well set out riding tomorrow," Lu Changxing said. That night, while meditating, Lu Changxing opened his eyes as he heard some noise. It was the sound of light footsteps. He sensed a little and knew the person was Xia Zhiyue. "It seems this girl is still worried, huh?" Lu Changxing inwardly guessed her purpose for coming. But he also admired her decisiveness. "Uncle Lu, have you rested?" A moment later, Xia Zhiyu's soft and clear voice came from outside the door. "What is it?" Lu Changxing said. "Uncle Lu, Zhiyue has something she wishes to discuss with you." In the howling night wind, Xia Zhiyue, standing outside, summoned her courage, her hands clutched at her skirt, and spoke with a blushing face. Lu Changxing initially wanted to say, "Discuss it tomorrow." But considering the hardships of the young girl, she must have struggled a lot internally before mustering the courage to come here. It would be too hurtful and could undermine her initiative if he responded so abruptly. "Ah, I am indeed someone with a soft heart," Lu Changxing sighed softly and said, "The door isn't locked." With a creak, the door opened. There stood Xia Zhiyue with her delicate features and slight figure dressed in simple morning attire, stepping into the room. "Uncle Lu." Upon entering the room and closing the door, Xia Zhiyue called out softly. Her voice was shy but pure and attractive. "Yue, what is it that you wish to speak about?" Bathed in moonlight within the dimly lit room, Lu Changxing stood up, gazing at Xia Zhiyue's delicate figure and said with a gentle chuckle. Xia Zhiyue, clutching the corners of her clothes, suddenly looked up, her face flushed as she rushed into Lu Changxing's embrace. Clinging tightly to Lu Changxing's waist, pressing herself softly against his chest, she revealed a certain matter with breath as sweet as orchids. Faced with such actions and words, Lu Changxing no longer played the gentleman. There was no help for it, It had come to this, what else could he do? And besides, this probably was what his friend Xiaolong had hoped for in his dying moments. Chapter 192, Father's Friend. Uncle Lu. Before long, the young girl tilted her neck back, her breathing quickened. Afterwards, Lu Changxing gently caressed Xiaxia, who was nestled in his arms, her face flushed red like mushy mud. Uncle Lu. Xiaxia curled up in Lu Changxing's arms, her face brilliantly red, and called out with a somewhat hoarse and sweet voice. It's all right, just rest well. Lu Changxing cast a cleansing technique to clean the sweat and spoke with a gentle voice. Hum. The girl had been through so many ups and downs these past few days, and had been so busy that she was already mentally exhausted. Having gone through such turmoil, she was even more worn out and soon fell asleep. Xiaolong, my brother, you've really given me 2 huge gifts. Lu Changxing looked at Xiaxiu's delicate face, murmuring to himself. Just now, Xiaxia had divulged a piece of information to him. She mentioned that she possesses a latent physique. The probability of her future children having a spiritual root could be increased. Thus, if Lu Changxing wished, she could bear children for him. Lu Changxing had never had any aversion to Xiaxia. Now that she had come forward willingly, revealing such information, he was even less likely to refuse. After all, such a physique was very likely the legendary spiritual body. Is it a spirit-nurturing physique, then? Lu Changxing vaguely remembered seeing such a physical constitution among the different types of spiritual bodies. However, the specifics were unclear to him. Even Xiaxia herself did not fully understand. She only knew that her mother possessed such a physique. It was the reason both she and her brother had spiritual roots. The next day, Lu Changxing rode an iron feather eagle, taking the siblings to Rui Prefecture to find Hong Yi. It had been a few years since he last saw Hong Yi. Moreover, he had some matters to discuss with Hong Yi this trip. 4 days later, the iron feather eagle landed in a deserted place outside Rui County City. Lu Changxing took out a communication talisman to send a message to Hong Yi. Then he arrived in Rui County City with Xiaxia and Xiaoxiang. Brother Lu, long time no see, your elegance has only increased with time. Hong Yi was waiting outside Rui County City, and immediately approached with a smile upon seeing Lu Changxing. He wore a purple gold crown and a robe of purple silk, radiating nobility and dignity. Brother Hong seems well too. Lu Changxing spoke with a smile as well. Over the years he had exchanged letters with Hong Yi. Their reunion felt familiar, without any awkwardness. After making sure Xiaxia and Xiaoxiang were well settled, the two went to the Rui Tower to catch up and chat. During the conversation, Lu Changxing informed Hong Yi about the siblings and asked him to look after them. Hong Yi readily agreed, assuring Lu Changxing that all would be well. At the same time, Lu Changxing also mentioned that next year he would start sending his children to the secular world. He asked Hong Yi to help arrange for a big estate, as well as martial masters, tutors, protectors and servants. Please rest assured, Brother Lu, I can take care of these trivial matters. Upon hearing this, Hong Yi was overjoyed. Thanks to the talisman business with Lu Changxing, his status within the Rui Marquis mansion had risen continuously. Now the position of the crown prince was almost within his reach. Now that Lu Changxing was willing to settle his secular children at the Rui Marquis mansion, it showed that the tie between him and Lu Changxing was thoroughly secure. Naturally he was extremely happy and willing. Don't trouble yourself, Hong brother. Oh, there's one more thing I'd like to ask for your help with. Lu Changxing then remembered Chu Zenshin's matter. He asked Hong Yi to investigate the force behind the old man who had killed Chu Zenshin's family, the cultivator. Chu Zenshin's matter was something Lu Changxing felt he now had the ability to handle. Naturally, he wanted to solve the revenge for Chu Zenshin. After all, she had given birth to 3 children for him, so it was the least he could do. No problem, this matter is not difficult for me. I'll handle it and will send someone to inform you immediately when there's news. Hong Yi replied confidently. Thank you, Brother Hong. I didn't bring any gifts this trip, so please accept these 3 talismans. Lu Changxing took out 3 superior-grade talismans and handed them to Hong Yi. These matters were naturally not worth the price of 3 superior-grade talismans. However, when it came to reciprocation in relationships, he never let others feel shortchanged. Especially after dealing with Hong Yi so many times, he knew him to be a trustworthy person. So, giving a bit extra was a small price to pay for a good relationship. Brother Lu, you are being too generous. I gladly accept your kind gesture. Hong Yi accepted without any false modesty. He understood that this benefit exchange was conducive to strengthening their relationship. However, when he took the 3 talismans in his hand, he immediately felt something was amiss. After a few glances, he was somewhat surprised and looked at Lu Changxing incredulously. "Brother Lu, what are these talismans? They don't look like middle-grade ones. Could they possibly be?" "That's right, they are superior-grade talismans, the Golden Light Barrier Talisman, capable of blocking a strike from an energy refinement late stage. I was fortunate enough to become a superior-grade talisman master not long ago and made a few for self-defense," Lu Changxing explained. Beyond interpersonal transactions, Lu Changxing felt the need to subtly reveal some of his own strength and value. Only by doing so could the interaction between the two remain stable and long-lasting. Superior Grade Talisman, Golden Light Barrier Talisman. Brother Lu has advanced to a Superior Grade Talisman Master. Upon hearing this, Hong Yi was stunned and entirely amazed. His mind was filled with shock, looking at Lu Changxing in disbelief. Initially, he had nurtured a good relationship with Lu Changxing because he had seen Lu Changxing's extraordinary talent in the talisman path. He had the potential to become a superior grade talisman master. He wanted to establish a relationship early on with a superior grade talisman master. It had only been 5 years, and Lu Changxing had advanced from a lower grade talisman master to a superior grade talisman master. Such a pace was nothing short of astounding. Chapter 193, Father's Friend. _4 At this moment, Hong Yi felt immensely fortunate for the decision he had made back then. Fortunate that he made a 3-year agreement, inviting Lu Changxing, and that he had maintained their relationship, building a good rapport. It was simply the most correct decision he had ever made in his life. "Just sheer luck, I've only just begun trying and it's very difficult to succeed," said Lu Changxing with a smile as he waved his hand dismissively. But Hong Yi was still so shocked that he was at a loss for words. Finally swallowing hard, he spoke with deep emotion. "Brother Lu's talent on the talisman path is truly exceptional. In the future, you might even become a second-grade talisman master." "I never thought I, Hong Yi, could befriend a second-grade talisman master. What a great fortune across 3 lifetimes. But this talisman is too precious, Brother Lu, you should take it back," Hong Yi said reluctantly. A single superior-grade talisman would cost at least 30 spirit stones. These 3 talismans represented a huge sum for him, too precious indeed. "There's no reason to take back something once given, Brother Hong, just keep it. In the future, when I send my children to the secular world, I will need to rely on Brother Hong's attention to them," Lu Changxing said. To him, the cost price of 3 superior-grade talismans was merely about 10 spirit stones. Not so precious after all. "All right then, I shall not refuse such generous offer," Hong Yi said, cupping his hands together in gratitude. Then he added solemnly, "Brother Lu, rest assured in the future your nephews and nieces in the secular world will be under my watchful eye, Hong Yi. They won't lose a single hair, or else you can hold me, Hong Yi, to account." Now that Lu Changxing had revealed his status as a superior grade talisman master, once Lu Changxing placed his children in the Rui Marquis mansion, it would show that their relationship was rock solid. By then his father, the Rui Marquis, could not ignore the significance of Lu Changxing, the superior grade talisman master. He would think to befriend Lu Changxing and build a good relationship with the superior grade talisman master. "Ha, Brother Hong, you're too flattering. I only hope that these children can live peacefully and joyfully, without too many other considerations," said Lu Changxing, shaking his head with a smile as he looked at Hong Yi. Soon after, the two chatted and reminisced. Late at night. Afterwards, "Jiue, I will be leaving in a couple of days. If there's anything you can just send me a message," Lu Changxing said to Xia Zizhu. He hadn't been in any rush to take Xia Zizhu back to Jianghu Mountain. It was still his original thought. Let her take care of her younger brother in the secular world, waiting for the immortal sects to recruit disciples. As for having children, he hadn't been in a rush either. He planned to go back first to inquire and understand her constitution, whether it was the spirit-nurturing physique he thought of. "MHM." Xia Zizhu leaned against him lazily, responding faintly. 7 days later. Jianghu Mountain. The spirit-nurturing physique can greatly increase the chance that the offspring it bears will have a spiritual root, but each childbirth will cause substantial harm to the mother's vital energy. This physique can also forcibly consume one's own cultivation origin source to nurture the fetus, enhancing the child's spiritual root potential. Lu Changxing read from a book that detailed descriptions of the spirit-nurturing physique. Jiue said her mother died shortly after giving birth to Xia Zhaoyang. Having a spirit-nurturing physique means possessing a spiritual root, being a cultivator. Cultivators rarely experience difficult labors or deaths during childbirth. Could it be that Xia Zhaoyang is the child her mother sacrificed her own cultivation origin source to bear? Is this the reason why Xiaolong dotes on and values this son 100 times more? Lu Changxing murmured to himself, speculating. If that's the case, it seems that having children shouldn't be taken lightly. Xia Zizhu is still too physically weak now, her cultivation level too low. If she were to have more children, it could pose serious problems. Lu Changxing exhaled softly. Chapter 194. Trouble is Brewing, Heart Demon. _1 A month later. On this day the family head Lu Yuanding came to look for Lu Changxing. He listed a talisman inventory and brought a batch of talisman-making materials. He hoped that Lu Changxing would dedicate more time in the following period to drawing talismans according to the list. Rest assured, family head. In the time to come, I will spend more time on drawing talismans. Lu Changxing glanced at the list and nodded in agreement. He also knew that the friction between the Qin family and the Lu family had become increasingly severe. It was almost as if they were preparing for war. In such a situation, the Lu family was nearly in a state of preparing for battle. They needed to stockpile more elixir medicines, talismans, and magic artifacts for the upcoming confrontation. And at this time, as a talisman master of the Lu family, he also had the duty to contribute and support the family's supplies. All right, you will be busy during this period. Lu Yuanding patted Lu Changxing on the shoulder and spoke in a warm voice. After saying a few words briefly, he then left without lingering. Apparently, the situation of the Lu family was so pressing that the family head himself was very busy. After Lu Yuanding left, Lu Miaoyun came to ask what the family head had come for this time. Lu Changxing did not conceal the truth and told her straightforwardly. I heard from Grandma that not long ago, there was a minor dispute at the Spirit Stone mine jointly mined by our family and the Qin family. 3 days ago, the great elder took many juniors to oversee the Spirit Stone mine. Upon hearing this, Lu Miaoyun spoke. Is it that serious? Lu Changxing was somewhat surprised. He knew there had been constant friction between the Lu family and the Qin family. But he hadn't expected it to escalate to this extent. Now they had reached the point where disputes erupted, and the great elder had to go and oversee the situation directly. Then Lu Changxing asked with some confusion, wasn't that Spirit Stone mine halted by the intervention of the Qingyun sect, which made a judgment to allow the Qin family and the Lu family to mine it together? How could the Qin family dare to make a move under these circumstances? Lu Changxing knew about the Spirit Stone mine matter from more than a decade ago. At that time, the Lu family and the Qin family had fought over the mine, resulting in many casualties. It was precisely because of this that Lu Yuanding went to the Qingyun sect to recruit a son-in-law to replenish the Lu family with fresh blood. I've asked Grandma about this question too. Grandma said that the Qin family is just starting trouble in secret, finding excuses to come cause trouble, and haven't fully ignited the conflict. In this case, the Qingyun sect would not intervene or care. Lu Miaoyun said with some indignation. I see. Lu Changxing nodded slightly. Indeed, the Qin family dares to do this because they know it won't provoke the Qingyun sect. Or rather, as long as the Qingyun sect's 40% share of profits remains unaffected, the Qingyun sect would not bother itself with the grievances and disputes between the Qin family and the Lu family. After all, no matter what happens between the Qin family and the Lu family, or even if other forces intervene, it still wouldn't affect the interests of the Qingyun sect. Lu Changxing instantly understood the crux of the issue. In such matters, it would be difficult to rely on the Qingyun sect as the arbitrator. After all, the cultivation world at the end of the day is a place where the strong prey upon the weak. Although a certain level of reputation and face might be considered, it wouldn't go that far. The reason for the escalation between the Qin family and the Lu family might also be related to the Purple Shadow Secret Realm. Not long ago, Lu Yuanshan returned from the Purple Shadow Secret Realm, which surely caused the Qin family to be wary. Now they are making a move against the Lu family to test our attitude and to distract us. Otherwise, if a new foundation establishment great cultivator emerges from the Lu family, it will be the Qin family who'll be restless. Lu Changxing thought to himself, tentatively guessing why the matter had escalated so quickly. If so, the grudge between the Qin family and the Lu family will likely escalate with the frictions and lead to an outbreak. One even fiercer than the battle between the Lu family and the Qin family 10 years ago. Lu Changxing thought to himself. The grudge between the Qin family and the Lu family, which started 10 years ago, showed no signs of reconciliation. Over the years there had been no indications of any truce. Just like previously when he was accompanying Lu Yuanding back to Jianghu Mountain, they had encountered an assassination by the Qin family. Originally, I thought that with the Lu family ancestor around, there would be peace for at least the next 2 to 3 years, but the turmoil has come so fast. The fact that the Great Elder has personally led people there indicates the Lu family's tough stance in retaliation. Is it because the Lu family had gains in the Purple Shadow secret realm and feels confident? Or is it because they are just putting on a show of strength while being weak inside? Lu Changxing pondered. He had been thinking about sending Lu Pingan and a group of children to the secular world next year. With the situation escalating so quickly now, he felt that it was necessary to do it sooner. But at the moment he couldn't rest assured to take a group of children to the secular world either. Who knew if the Qin family would, just like before, send people to lie in wait on certain routes outside Jianghu Mountain. There's no rush for the time being, let's just observe for now. As long as the Lu family ancestor is not on his deathbed, it's unlikely that the Qin family would blatantly tear their facade and start a war. Moreover, with the formation guarding Jianghu Mountain and the Foundation establishment ancestor presiding, even 2 or 3 great cultivators at Foundation establishment level would not be able to breach it. Lu Changxing was not too anxious or thrown off balance. The situation had just begun and had not reached a point where it would affect him. In the following time, Lu Changxing also spent more time making talismans each day, contributing talismans to the family. These contributed talismans, of course, were not given for free. The Lu family would calculate contribution rewards. Considering the materials provided by the Lu family for talisman making, the price was about half the original cost. It was a decent deal. After all, the initial investment by the Lu family in resources to cultivate him was intended for future returns. Before he knew it, more than 3 months had passed. The dispute between the Lu family and the Qin family had not affected Lu Changxing. Or rather, just as Lu Changxing predicted, the dispute was merely a probe. It was unable to extend its impact to Jianghu Mountain or affect the Lu family. Chapter 195. Trouble is Brewing, Heart Demon. During these days Lu Changxing stayed at home, living a simple and quiet life. He spent his days cultivating, making talismans and accompanying his wives and children. Of course, in the vital matter of childbearing, Lu Changxing had not fallen behind either. He had reached a total of 73 children. This was after Lu Changxing started practicing eugenics. Otherwise, the number would have increased by at least another 10. One day, in the practice room, clang clang clang, Lu Changxing held in his hand a piece of cracked and dim red gold essence. His bones constantly emitted the clanging sounds of gold and iron, like soldiers. It was as if numerous blacksmiths were wielding hammers within his body, forging divine weapons with his flesh and bones, sparks flying everywhere without end. He did not know how much time had passed. Crack. Lu Changxing slowly opened his eyes, exhaled a breath of foul air, and crushed the dim, cracked piece of red gold essence in his hand to dust. An invisible pressure was released, causing the dust on the ground to disperse. 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art, the second level, has finally been achieved. Lu Changxing stood up, stretched his muscles and bones, which made a pop and crackle sound like frying beans. Then he looked at his palms. The skin was still white and delicate. But beneath that smooth, mirror-like whiteness, there was an added sense of indestructible thickness. It's still the breakthroughs in body refinement that bring the most fulfilling sensation. Lu Changxing felt the tremendous power in his body, clenched his fists, and felt as if he could shatter anything with a single punch. However, he knew this was only an illusion resulting from the recent breakthrough and the enhancement of his physical body. The second level of the 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art only made one's body comparable to a middle-grade magic artifact. Nurtured by the Black Dragon magical bead, my treasure bone technique has also reached a minor accomplishment. Lu Changxing closed his eyes for introspection. He could see his bones now clear as crystal. There were tadpole-like runes on them, faintly visible, shining splendidly, like an exquisite creation of the heavens. But now the treasure bones are only at a minor accomplishment. At best, they can only briefly harness part of the Black Dragon magical bead's power, comparable to a talisman treasure. Moreover, once activated, it also deals significant damage to myself. So, unless it's absolutely necessary, it's better not to use it and to continue nurturing it. Lu Changxing looked at the treasure bones in his chest and murmured to himself. This treasure bone technique was one of his trump cards. Once nurtured to the extreme, it would be a decade spent honing a single bone, which upon release breaks stones and startles the heavens. After casting a cleansing technique to tidy up the practice room, Lu Changxing left the room. He went to the courtyard to accompany his wives and children. During the time he spent with his wives and children, he had also prepared them in advance for venturing into the secular world. In this regard, the little ones like Lu Pinggan were quite receptive. One reason was that Lu Changxing, upon realizing that most of his children lacked spiritual roots, subtly talked about this matter. On the other hand, it was also thanks to the teachings and atmosphere of the Lu family. 3 days later, while chatting with Lu Miaoyun, Lu Changxing learned some news. The conflict over the spirit mines between the Lu and Qin families had subsided, thanks to the Lu family's firm stance and strong counteroffensive, which had deterred the Qin family. The matter was considered temporarily settled. But Lu Changxing remained firm in his speculation that what the Qin family had done was merely a probe. Such incidents were sure to recur. Given that there's no time to lose, while things have temporarily calmed down, there's no need to postpone sending Pinggan and the others to the secular world any longer. I'm going to send the first group of children to the secular world now, otherwise who knows what might happen next. After pondering for a moment, Lu Changxing decided to send the first group of children to the secular world right away. Otherwise he feared new troubles could arise. I should also inform Feiyu about this matter, Lu Changxing thought. After telling his wives, he went out to find Li Feiyu. He had discussed matters concerning their departure with Li Feiyu previously. Having Li Feiyu teach his children martial arts was also to foster closeness and familiarity between Li Feiyu and his children. So when the children went to the secular world, Li Feiyu could be there to look after them. Lu Changxing arrived at a plaza in Qingzhou Villa. He saw Li Feiyu teaching Lu Pinggan and a few other youngsters as well as his own 7 children, some basic martial arts. Dad. Daddy. Uncle Lu. The group of kids called out when they saw Lu Changxing approaching. I need to speak with your Uncle Li about something. You keep practicing, do well. Seeing a few children pause in their movements, Lu Changxing immediately said. Although he doted on his children, he wasn't overindulgent. Also, the martial arts that Li Feiyu was teaching them were basic and weren't too strenuous. It was more about building endurance and willpower. He felt it was necessary. Changxing, what brings you over this time? Li Feiyu smiled and asked Lu Changxing. There's something I want to discuss with you. Lu Changxing nodded. He sat down with Li Feiyu under a tree on the side and began, I've decided to send Pinggan and the others to the secular world now. So soon? Has something happened? Li Feiyu was surprised and immediately sensed that something must have happened. Before this, Lu Changxing had discussed the matter with him, but it was something that was expected to happen within the next year or two. You're aware of that spirit stone mine issue with the Lu family a while back, aren't you? Lu Changxing began. I've heard something about it, but I don't know the details. Did something happen? Li Feiyu shook his head. He was truly out of the loop regarding family affairs in the Lu family and had no source of information. Chapter 196. Trouble is brewing, Heart Demon. Nothing major happened, the matter has calmed down for now, coming to an end. But according to my guess, this is only the Qin family's first probe. Lu Changxing took out 2 flasks of jade bamboo wine from his storage bag, handed one to Li Feiyu, and then continued speaking. I have mentioned to you before that the situation of the Lu family ancestor is not optimistic. At that time, I thought it would take at least 4 or 5 years before the Lu family would start to become unstable. But this incident has served as a wake-up call for me. I feel that it won't be long before the Lu family will face a second and third wave of troubles, conflicts. So I think there's no need to delay the trip to the secular world any longer. It's better to take advantage of the current lull and send Pinggan and the others to the secular world. Moreover, given the situation at the Lu family, it's better for you to leave as well. You are a free agent, free to leave at any time. As for your wives and children, I can go talk to the family head and try to arrange for them to join you. At that time, you can join me in sending your wives and children to the secular world. What do you think? Lu Changxing laid out all of his thoughts. On the one hand, he was reminding his good brother to make an escape. On the other hand, he was hoping that after Li Feiyu settled his family in the secular world, he would help look after the children and continue to teach them martial arts. Although there were arrangements made by Hong Yi in the secular world, he trusted Li Feiyu even more. No problem, I'll listen to you, let's do as you said. I appreciate your help with this. After hearing these words, Li Feiyu pondered briefly before nodding in agreement. He also knew that if the Lu family truly faced a crisis, it would be too late for him to escape. Though leaving the Lu family meant losing the cultivation benefit of the spiritual vein-blessed land, decisions had to be made according to the situation. Moreover, he had already planned to leave the Lu family and strike out on his own once he broke through to the 4th level energy refinement. Not long ago he had made this breakthrough. Only he had been hesitant because his children were too young, and he was planning to wait a few more years. Now that Lu Changxing was willing to resolve this worry for him, he had no more concerns. We don't need to stand on ceremony. I also hope that when you are in the secular world, you will continue to look after Pingan and the others for a few years. After all, they will need time to adapt once they reach the secular world. As their father, I can't always be by their side. Lu Changxing exhaled lightly as he spoke. Although he had mentally prepared for it, the true prospect of sending his children to the secular world, a world apart from the divine, inevitably made him feel somewhat sentimental. Rest assured, I will take good care of the children, Li Feiyu said, his voice firm. He then added, but what about you? What are your plans? My involvement with the Lu family is quite deep. I can't just leave whenever I want. After all, the Lu family has been kind to me, and under the current circumstances, it's not possible for me to just walk away. So, I plan to continue to watch and wait. If the Lu family manages to safely get through this, then that's all for the best. If not, they will be too busy to attend to me when the time comes. Lu Changxing spoke. Although there was still a contract between him and the Lu family, what bound him now was no longer just a contract. It was the affection developed over many years with the Lu family, as well as the emotional ties with his wives. These things he could not simply disregard without any thought. So he was still preparing to wait and see. Thinking that he should exert some effort in helping the Lu family through the crisis if possible, if not, he would then protect his wives and leave. This would not only leave him with a clear conscience but also give an explanation to his wives, Lu Miaoyun and the Lu family. Alright, as long as you've got it figured out for yourself, that's fine. Li Feiyu, hearing these words, did not attempt to persuade otherwise. He knew that Lu Changxing was a man of deep emotions. In such a situation, it was indeed very difficult to just walk away without looking back. If you have any doubts, you can also ask for my analysis, Li Feiyu said. Straight away, Lu Changxing discussed the subsequent arrangements and other matters with Li Feiyu. After their conversation, Lu Changxing immediately went to find the family head, Lu Yuanding. Since he had decided to send the children to the secular world, he had to inform Lu Yuanding, the patriarch of the Lu family. It was also a good opportunity to inquire about the current situation with the Chen family and ensure stability had been reached, as well as to discuss the matter of Li Feiyu's wives and children. Half an hour later, Lu Changxing arrived at Lu Yuanding's residence. However, Lu Yuanding was not there. After waiting for nearly half an hour, Lu Yuanding finally returned. Changxing, have you come over for something? Lu Yuanding came into the hall, looked at Lu Changxing and asked directly. Yes, family head. I've heard that the dispute between our family and the Chen family has temporarily calmed down, and I was thinking of taking this opportunity to send some of my children to the secular world. Lu Changxing spoke openly without any hesitation. After all, he saw no need for excessive reticence in such matters. Sending children to the secular world? Lu Yuanding paused briefly upon hearing this. Then, after contemplating for a moment, he said, I remember your children are already around 7 years old, right? It is indeed about time to send them to the secular world. At present, our Lu family and the Chen family have settled our issues temporarily, so there's no problem. However, you should still be careful on the road. When do you plan to depart? I will arrange for a few people to escort you back. Lu Yuanding spoke. I was thinking of leaving in the next few days, Lu Changxing said. Do you have a place prepared for settling the children? Our Lu family has family influences in many places in the secular world. If you don't have a place in mind, I can have someone arrange it for you. Rest assured, we will treat all these children equally. Chapter 197. Trouble is brewing, heart demon. _4 Lu Yuanding spoke with a gentle tone. Thank you, family head, but I have already made arrangements for the child's future, which is to settle him in our ancestral home in Rui Prefecture. I had a friend procure some farmland and houses there beforehand. Lu Changxing bowed slightly in acknowledgement. He could clearly discern from Lu Yuanding's words that it was hoped he would settle the child within the Lu family. Since you have already made arrangements, that's naturally for the best. Once you've decided on a time, just inform me, and if you encounter any issues in the secular world, feel free to discuss them with me. Hearing that Lu Changxing had made arrangements, Lu Yuanding said no more. His tone remained gentle and unchanged. After all, this world placed great importance on familial bloodlines. While Lu Changxing's heart had become intertwined with the Lu family, he saw it as perfectly natural to want to establish his own bloodline in the secular world. You needn't worry too much about the current situation of the Lu family. Yuan Shan made not insignificant gains in the Purple Shadow secret realm, giving us hope to overcome this difficult period. Seemingly aware of the concerns in Lu Changxing's heart, Lu Yuanding revealed some news. Significant gains in the Purple Shadow secret realm? Getting through a difficult period? Lu Changxing's heart skipped a beat upon hearing this. Although he didn't know whether what Lu Yuanding said was true or false, at this moment, Lu Changxing could not possibly show lack of response. He immediately bowed deeply, expressing his attitude, "Family head, I have long considered Qingzhou Mountain as my own home. This time, sending the child to the secular world is partly because he is not so young anymore, and also to leave bloodlines in the world, wishing to share life and death with the family." Lu Changxing said this with a look of firm conviction. Seeing Lu Changxing's determined expression, Lu Yuanding also showed a relieved and moved expression. He patted Lu Changxing's shoulder and said, "Ha, it's the thought that counts. However, our Lu family will never let our people, our own, make sacrifices in vain, so you don't have to worry too much." Lu Yuanding said so. "Yes, family head." Lu Changxing nodded in agreement. He then continued, "By the way, family head, I have a good friend named Li Feiyu. A few years ago I troubled the fourth elder to have him released from his position as a son-in-law to become a free man, but he still remains with the Lu family. This time I would like for him to return to the secular world with me to help look after the child. So, I would like to request the family head's permission to allow him to take his wives, concubines, and children back to the secular world with him." Lu Changxing spoke again. "No problem, you can go directly to Uncle Fu and have him arrange it." Lu Yuanding, upon hearing this, agreed without hesitation. Because of Lu Changxing, he had a recollection of the man named Li Feiyu. But his understanding wasn't clear. Since Lu Changxing had made the request, it was of no consequence to grant this favor. "Thank you, family head." Lu Changxing bowed deeply in gratitude. Then Lu Changxing took his leave from Lu Yuanding. That night. Afterward, Lan Shu, Zir, Qing'er, in planning to send Pingan, Wuyu and Wuyo to the secular world in 3 days. They are still young and in need of care, so you will come with them to provide it. Lu Changxing said to the 3 women. He did not mention anything about the crisis facing the Lu family. Sending the children to the secular world now and having his wives look after them was the most legitimate reason. "All right, I'll follow my husband's decision." "Whatever you arrange, husband." The 3 women nestled close to Lu Changxing and replied in soft voices. "Don't worry, I will visit you whenever I can." Lu Changxing caressed the 3 women, speaking gently. He still had quite a lot of affection for his first 3 wives. Great Dream Immortal City. Meng fellow Taoist, before we begin alchemy, I must clarify that since Foundation establishment elixir materials are hard to come by, aside from the second-rank alchemists of the great immortal sects, other alchemists are not very proficient in the making of the Foundation establishment elixir. Under normal conditions I can produce 2 elixirs. If luck is against me there might be only 1, and only when luck is particularly favorable can 3 be produced. Hence, if you accept this outcome I can begin the alchemy process for you. An old man with hair as white as a crane's feathers and a complexion as rosy and youthful as a baby slowly spoke to a young girl in a purple dress. "Of course, please rest assured, Chen Alchemist, no matter the outcome, this young lady understands and the agreed payment will not be short-changed." Meng Xiaochan smiled as she handed over a storage bag. Although Qin Ping was an old hand at alchemy, he was one of the few who could reliably produce the foundation-building elixir. Moreover, it was not easy for a loose cultivator to find someone to make the foundation-building elixir for them. The alchemist Qin Ping before her was someone she had managed to ask for a favor through various connections and at a considerable cost. "Very well, since Meng fellow Taoist has no objections, then I shall commence alchemy. In the next few days, you may wait outside the alchemy hall or return after 7 days." Qin Ping nodded slightly, took a glance at the storage bag to ensure the materials were complete, and then, accompanied by 2 boys who fanned the flames, entered the alchemy hall. Meng Xiaochan did not depart but waited outside the hall for the outcome. At this moment, her mind drifted. Wondering if Qin alchemist managed to produce only one foundation establishment elixir, how she should plan. Whether she should use it herself or give it to him. This Lockhart Gu is too overbearing. Once I achieve foundation establishment, I must kill him. Otherwise he will become my heart demon. In the next moment, Meng Xiaochan formed a spiritual art with her hands, pressing it on her forehead, taking deep breaths. She was acutely aware that the influence of the Lockhart Gu on her was getting more severe. She would often involuntarily think of Lu Changxing. Sometimes she even dreamed of him at night. If it weren't for the fact that I know him afflicted with the Lockhart Gu and have the pure heart technique, any other person would likely be unable to withstand the effects of the Lockhart Gu. That's why I must kill him and take back the Lockhart Gu. Meng Xiaoquan's eyes were downcast as she muttered to herself. Chapter 198. 3 Foundation Establishment Elixirs, Advancing to Middle Grade Spiritual Root. _ 5 days later. Outside Qingzhou Mountain. Uncle Yuanshan, thank you for your trouble on this journey. Lu Changxing said to a middle-aged man with a heroic face and missing an arm, bowing his hands in courtesy. This man was Lu Yuanshan, one of the core members of the Lu family who had been sent to the Purple Shadow Secret Realm. He possessed the strength of the 9th level energy refinement. This time, Lu Yuanding had him personally escort Lu Changxing to the secular world. It's no trouble. Lu Yuanshan spoke with a deep voice, his expression stern and authoritative. He then took out a palm-sized blue flying boat. Under the activation of mana, the flying boat transformed into a small vessel about 3 meters long. This flying boat was slightly bigger than the second elders. But it wasn't much larger, only able to seat 12 people. This was because the Lu family did not have medium or large flying boats. Only a few small ones. The use of this flying boat was a special exception made by Lu Yuanding due to the special circumstances of Lu Changxing. However, having a flying boat was already satisfying for Lu Changxing. He had been considering whether to hire a flying boat from the spiritual boat pavilion. After all, with so many wives, concubines and children, it would indeed be too troublesome and inconvenient to rely on spirit carriage. Feiyu Lanshu, you go up first, Lu Changxing said to Li Feiyu and Lu Lanshu and the others nearby. Because there were many people, he divided his wives, concubines and children into 2 groups. First, he was sending Li Feiyu's wives, concubines and children to the secular world. His own family would follow in another batch. Pingon, come with Daddy, Daddy will take you flying over, Lu Changxing said, not boarding the flying boat himself. Instead, he pulled an iron feather eagle out of a spiritual pet bag and beckoned to his son Lu Pingon. Okay Daddy, Lu Pingon replied without any objections. In his view, the flying boat was just that, nothing compared to the fun of riding an eagle. Lu Changxing occasionally took them to fly on iron feather eagles, but it was only for short flights and not very satisfying. Hold on tight, said Lu Changxing as he immediately picked up his son, leapt onto the iron feather eagle's back, made sure he was stable and affixed 2 wind-avoiding talismans to him. He then looked towards Lu Yuanshan. Let's go. Lu Yuanshan saw that everyone was seated and nodded. Immediately, the iron feather eagle and the flying boat soared towards the sky together. In terms of speed, the flying boat was slightly faster than the iron feather eagle. But not by much. Lu Yuanshan slightly slowed down the speed of the flying boat to travel alongside Lu Changxing. Pingon, remember the guidance Daddy has given you? From now on, with Daddy not by your side, you will have to decide for yourself what to do. Lu Changxing stood on the iron feather eagle, hugging his son, and said aloud. Don't worry Daddy, I'll definitely not let you down. Lu Pingon pursed his lips, raised his head to look at Lu Changxing and nodded firmly. Good, Daddy believes in you, said Lu Changxing without saying much more. Although his eldest son had no spiritual root, and couldn't be said to have exceptional talent or intellect, he had a steady character, and as far as independence was concerned, Lu Changxing was quite satisfied. With him as a father, his child didn't need to strive for success. Maintaining what they had was sufficient. And as Lu Changxing saw it, Lu Pingon was more than capable of maintaining what they had. Great Dream Immortal City. Alchemy Hall. Meng Dao friend, I was quite lucky this time, successful in creating 3 elixirs. However, this third one is flawed, just an inferior foundation establishment elixir. It has too much elixir toxicity and can only increase the chance of foundation establishment success by 10%. 7 days of alchemy had left Qin Ping's complexion rosy, but also a bit worn. He opened his palm, showing off 3 elixir medicines, and said to Meng Xiaochan. 2 of the elixirs were crystal clear, radiating a rich medicinal fragrance. The third was much duller in color with a grayish mark, clearly inferior to the other 2. 3 elixirs. Meng Xiaochan exclaimed in surprise upon hearing this. She hadn't expected her luck to be so good as to yield 3 elixirs. Even if the third one was of inferior quality, it still held significant value. Enough to drive countless cultivators mad with desire. Thank you, Master Qin. Meng Xiaochan bowed in thanks, took out a storage bag and handed it to Qin Ping, saying, Master Qin, this is the agreed-upon reward, please have a look. All right. Qin Ping took the storage bag, glanced at it and smiled. He passed the 3 foundation establishment elixirs to Meng Xiaochan. Thank you, Master Qin, I shall take my leave, Meng Xiaochan said as she took the elixirs and promptly bade farewell. She went towards the inner city center to rent a second-rank cave mansion, preparing for her attempt to break through to foundation establishment. Her visit to the Great Dream Immortal City was not only for the purpose of creating foundation establishment elixirs, but also to make use of the second-grade spiritual veins to break through to foundation establishment. Places like Nine Dragons Square, although they sat atop second-grade spirit veins, their cave mansions were not available to the public. Even if they were, there would be formation limitations, preventing one from attempting foundation establishment. In the Great Dream Immortal City, however, as long as one had the money, one could rent top-tier second-rank or even almost third-rank cave mansions specifically suited for foundation establishment. This was why the Immortal City attracted so many loose cultivators to come. Foundation establishment. After renting a top-tier second-rank cave mansion, Meng Xiaochan set up a layer of formation around the mansion, her eyes showing a determined glint. She then sat down cross-legged, began to adjust her state of essence, energy and soul, and waited for the right moment to attempt foundation establishment. 3 days later, the spirit boat and the Iron Feather Eagle landed in an uninhabited area outside Rui County City. Lu Changxing, holding his sleeping son Lu Pingan in his arms, took out Hong Yi's transmission talisman. Then he led everyone towards Rui Prefecture. The movement of walking also awoke Lu Pingan. Daddy, is this Rui County City where we'll live from now on? Lu Pingan, rubbing his sleepy eyes, looked at the city ahead with curiosity. Yes, this is Rui County City. Chapter 199. 3 Foundation Establishment Elixirs, Advancing to Middle Grade Spiritual Root. Dad was born in a small mountain village just below Rui County City, and from now on you and your siblings will live here, Lu Changxing said gently. Rui County City, how time flies. Li Feiyu, too, holding his wife and daughter, looked towards the city ahead, his expression filled with emotions. Indeed, the last time we came here together, it was 5 years ago. In the blink of an eye, more than 5 years have passed. Lu Changxing nodded, also touched with a trace of nostalgia. Since his journey to the Lu family, it had already been over 8, almost 9 years. Every time he looked back at these times, Lu Changxing felt it had passed quickly. Soon after Hong Yi arrived. Brother Li, these must be your wives. Hong Yi, upon seeing that Lu Changxing had brought his family and that Li Feiyu was also present, was a bit surprised. However, he didn't dwell on it much and approached warmly, with an expression of politeness and not a hint of arrogance. Upon seeing Lu Yuanshan, he also greeted him respectfully. Youngster Hong Yi, I've met this elder. Although he didn't recognize Lu Yuanshan, his years of dealing with people had honed his perception. At first glance, he could tell that Lu Yuanshan was no ordinary figure. Uncle Yuanshan, this is my good friend Hong Yi. Pingan, this is your Uncle Hong. Lu Changxing nodded slightly, introducing them. Uncle Hong. Uncle Hong. Lu Pingan and Li Feiyu's children all called out to Hong Yi. Very good, here, take these gifts from your uncle as a greeting. Seeing this, Hong Yi also smiled and took out a few small items from his storage bag for the children. The children, however, looked at their parents. Since it's a gift from Uncle Hong, you should accept it. Lu Changxing said with a smile. Then, turning to Hong Yi, he asked, Brother Hong, I didn't have time to inform you about my visit this time. Have you managed to arrange the house I asked you to acquire? I have arranged everything regarding the estate, but as for the protector and martial master, that has not yet been settled. Brother Lu, do you want to go there now, or should we first settle the elder and the ladies and let them rest? Hong Yi said immediately. Uncle Yuanshan, would you like to go back first or rest here for a while? Lu Changxing looked towards Lu Yuanshan and asked respectfully. He still showed the proper respect and courtesy due to the Lu family elder. It's fine, I'm not in a hurry, I'll go back with you. Lu Yuanshan spoke. His task this trip was to escort the group, protecting Lu Changxing to prevent the Chen family from making a move against this talisman master. Thank you for your trouble, Uncle Yuanshan. Lu Changxing bowed slightly. After that he settled Lu Yuanshan, his wives, concubines and children to rest. Together with Li Feiyu and Hong Yi, he went to check out the estate. Brother Lu, did you come here ahead of time because of the conflict between the Lu family of Qingzhou Mountain and the Chen family of Red Leaf Valley? Hong Yi, as they boarded the carriage, inquired. Brother Hong, you are also aware of this matter? Lu Changxing was somewhat surprised. He hadn't expected that the affairs between the Lu and Qin families would be known to Hong Yi in the secular world. I have been keeping an eye on this news. Not long ago, there was word that the Lu family ancestor was not long for this world, and that there might be a conflict between the Lu and Qin families. I was actually about to write to inform Brother Lu and Brother Li. I never expected that Brother Lu would arrive so soon. Hong Yi said. Indeed, I was influenced by this situation. Since Hong Yi had received relevant news, Lu Changxing didn't conceal anything. He mentioned that there had been some friction between the Lu and Qin families, which had now quieted down, so he had brought his wives and children to the secular world ahead of time. And later he would bring over more of his family. Brother Lu, do you plan to separate from the Lu family or? Hong Yi asked. I won't leave the Lu family for the time being, but this time Feiyu will settle here in the secular world for a while. Lu Changxing shook his head and stated plainly. Hong Yi did not press the matter further. He knew that Lu Changxing knew far more about the Lu family's affairs than he did. There was no need for him to speculate based on rumors. And so the three of them chatted and reminisced in the carriage, laughing and talking. A quarter of an hour later the carriage stopped. Young master. The coachman called out to the carriage. Brother Lu, here we are. Hong Yi nodded. Stepping down from the carriage, he pointed towards an estate in front of them and spoke to Lu Changxing. Brother Lu, this is the place. This land was sectioned off beside the newly constructed canal for the purpose of building estates. The few estates constructed here are all owned by cultivators from the secular world. It also meets the requirement you mentioned before, being large and quiet. This estate covers a total of 18 acres, facing the canal in front, and the rear is fertile land that has been cultivated, suitable for orchards, farmland. Hong Yi continued the introduction for Lu Changxing as they walked. Lu Changxing looked at the estate Hong Yi had arranged for him. The estate could not be described as overly luxurious, but it was spacious and imposing. Especially its proximity to the canal, offering a view of its majestic expanse, and the possibility to enjoy boating on the waterway. This could be considered a waterfront property. Lu Changxing chuckled softly. Then he nodded towards Hong Yi. This estate is quite nice. You've gone to a lot of trouble, Brother Hong. It's good that Brother Lu is satisfied. Let me show you around and explain everything. Hong Yi also revealed a smile. He had spent a great deal of effort on this estate. He was worried that Lu Changxing might not be pleased with it. He even had several backup houses prepared. The entire estate, though only 18 acres in size, had a layout that was exceptionally orderly and structured. Inside, the lush foliages, pavilions and towers, upturned eaves with blue tiles, intricately interconnected, were winding and intricate, exquisitely elegant without losing grandeur. After touring the estate, Lu Changxing was very satisfied with it. This size was more than enough, not just for his own children. Chapter 200. 3 Foundation Establishment Elixirs, Advancing to Middle Grade Spiritual Root. Even when Lu Pingan and the children grow up, all get married and have children of their own, 2 or 3 per person, they will still be able to live here comfortably. Some servants have also been arranged to clean and tidy up the place. It is just that there are still vacancies for martial masters, protectors and stewards. Lu Changxing plans for the position of steward, to let by he and Hai Tang, the maids that he previously purchased from the White Jade Tower, take on the role when the time comes. Not only do they have martial skills, but they are also capable in management. Very well, Brother Hong, I am very satisfied with this residence. You have worked hard. Lu Changxing nodded towards Hong Yi, confirming the decision. He then turned to Li Feiyu and asked, Feiyu, what are your plans? Will you live here, or do you want to return to Heavenly Water Mansion? They'll settle down here for the time being, and he'll go back to check on Heavenly Water Mansion later. Li Feiyu replied. Fine, I'll rely on you and Brother Hong to look after things here then. Lu Changxing nodded. With Li Feiyu and Hong Yi watching over things, he felt reassured. Moreover, he also planned to leave the Nine Netherhound here. One reason was that the children all liked the Nine Netherhound as a playmate. Additionally, it was to have the Nine Netherhound guard the house for an extra layer of security. As they were leaving the mansion, Hong Yi took out a plaque from his storage bag and spoke. Brother Lu, now that it's decided, why don't we give the mansion a name? I didn't expect you to be so well prepared, Brother Hong. Upon seeing this, Lu Changxing couldn't help but smile. Taking out a talisman brush from his storage bag, he wrote Lu Residence on the plaque with powerful and elegant strokes. He hung the plaque above the mansion's main gate. This can be considered my own home now, even though it is in the secular world. Lu Changxing looked at the mansion before him with a lot of emotions. It's true that after so many years on Jianghu Mountain, he had developed a feeling of belonging. But for his own future, Lu Changxing still wished to establish a cultivation family of his own. Although that step was still far off, and would have to wait until after he established his foundation establishment did not seem very far away to Lu Changxing. This can be regarded as the first step. Lu Changxing thought to himself. Now his secular Lu family was also settled. In the future, his children could root and establish themselves in Rui County City. The next day, Lu Changxing brought Lu Lanshu and Lu Pinggan to the residence, and also moved Xia Zhiyue and her younger brother to live here. Regarding his own situation, Lu Changxing had already told Xia Zhiyue before. Now was also a good time for Xia Zhiyue to start integrating into this family. After living in Rui County City for a day, Lu Changxing and Lu Yuanshan returned to Jianghu Mountain to begin the second phase of the transfer. The 2 round trips went very smoothly. Lu Changxing brought Lu Qinger, Lu Zier, and in total 6 wives and concubines, along with 9 children to Rui County City. As for the remaining children, Lu Changxing planned to wait until they were a bit older. After all, he was still, nominally, just moving the older children to the secular world for settlement, not running away. It was not feasible to move all his wives and children to the secular world at once. Upon seeing Lu Changxing bring so many children, Hong Yi also sent his 2 children over, to get acquainted with the children of Lu Changxing and Li Feiyu. It was arranged for them to become playmates and grow up together, continuing the relationships and friendships of their father's generation. After settling his wives and concubines, Lu Changxing left the 9 Netherhound in the mansion for his son Lu Pinggan to look after and raise, giving his own wives and children an additional means of self-protection in the secular world. Although the 9 Netherhound was still an early first-grade demon beast, it was nearly reaching the middle stage, able to face a common mid-phase Qi refinement cultivator without fear. During these days, Lu Changxing also gave Xia Zhiyue a thorough examination, and he could almost confirm that she indeed possessed the spirit-nurturing physique. However, considering that Xia Zhiyue was only at the 2nd level of Qi refinement and that bearing children could harm her vitality, he did not ask her to get pregnant and bear children right away. Lu Changxing exchanged for a set of minor spirit-gathering arrays from the Lu family, set them up in the backyard of the mansion, allowing Xia Zhiyue, Xia Zhaoyang, and Li Feiyu to barely manage to cultivate in the secular world. Furthermore, Lu Changxing also gave Xia Zhiyue 50 spirit stones and some elixir medicines, encouraging her to cultivate diligently by herself regularly and not to slack off. After settling all these matters, Lu Changxing and Lu Yuanshan returned to Jianghu Mountain. But before leaving, Lu Changxing also left a stack of talismans for Li Feiyu. After all, Li Feiyu only had the cultivation level of the 4th level of Qi refinement. Although he also had the strength of an innate grandmaster in martial arts, which virtually guaranteed his safety in the secular world, and with the Rui Marquis mansion there, however, Lu Changxing always preferred to play it safe just to be cautious. After sending the first batch of wives and children to the secular world, Lu Changxing returned to Jianghu Mountain and continued to lead a reclusive life, cultivating daily, making talismans, and spending time with his wives and children. In the blink of an eye, more than a month had passed. On this day, the 63rd child of Lu Changxing was born. The moment this child came into the world, Lu Changxing felt an indescribable and mysterious agitation surge through him, clearly indicating to Lu Changxing, his spiritual root had advanced. From a 7th grade spiritual root, he had ascended to a 6th grade spiritual root. From a lower grade spiritual root, he had ascended to a middle grade spiritual root. System. Lu Changxing exclaimed with joy, immediately opening the system panel. Name, Lu Changxing. Identity, son-in-law of the Lu family of Qingzhou Mountain. Cultivation level, 7th level energy refinement. Lifespan, 26/163. Talent, 6th grade spiritual root. Cultivation techniques, Immortal beauty technique, 100 refinements treasure body art, 7 luminaries great freedom sword scripture. Spells, flame bullet technique, wind control skill, object manipulating technique, aura concealment technique, spiritual eye technique, sound transmitting technique. Skills, talisman making, 2nd rank, puppeteering, 2nd rank, spiritual pets, 9 netherhound, peach blossom goo, progeny, 63/75. View details. Chapter 201. 3 Foundation Establishment Elixirs, Advancing to Middle Grade Spiritual Root. Indeed a 6th grade spiritual root. After so much effort, I've finally advanced from a lower grade spiritual root to a middle grade spiritual root. Lu Changxing looked at the system panel, feeling immense joy in his heart. A 9th grade spiritual root upon elevation to middle grade spiritual root wasn't just beneficial for foundation establishment, but it also wouldn't be a hindrance like a lower grade spiritual root, impacting the chances of foundation establishment. This child must be an 8th grade spiritual root, right? Lu Changxing could roughly feel the quality of the child's spiritual root through the recent pulsation. However, with the system panel, it seemed even more convenient now. His mental spirit stirred slightly. Through the progeny section he saw the information of his newly born child. Indeed, 8th grade spiritual root. I now have 12 children with spiritual roots. Yet only 2 children possess 7th grade spiritual roots. Trying to have a child with a middle grade spiritual root is truly difficult. Now that I've advanced to a 6th grade spiritual root, I wonder if this aspect will be any better, Lu Changxing mused, exhaling deeply. Even if both parents possessed spiritual roots, and they ensured the mother was well nourished with spiritual energy during pregnancy to increase the odds of the child having a spiritual root, the child's grade of spiritual root was still very challenging. Now that I've advanced to middle grade spiritual root, not only has my cultivation speed increased, but it will also help me with my foundation establishment, he reflected. If I could advance to upper grade spiritual root early, foundation establishment would probably be as easy as snapping my fingers. It's a pity that Jiue is only at the 2nd level of qi refinement. Her constitution is too frail, otherwise with a spirit-nurturing physique, it wouldn't be a problem to have a child with a middle grade or even upper grade spiritual root, Lu Changxing murmured to himself. With a spirit-nurturing physique, if one is willing to consume their cultivation's origin source to conceive, it's highly likely they could have a child with a middle grade spiritual root. But the problem is, Xia Zizhu is only at the 2nd level of qi refinement now. Doing so would certainly inflict great harm on her vitality and affect her at the foundational level. Even though Lu Changxing wished for a child with a middle grade spiritual root, his morals and bottom line still prevented him from making such a decision. Previously, I read in a book that said some heavenly materials and earthly treasures have the power to increase the chances of the child having a spiritual root, even improving the quality of the spiritual root, during the mother's pregnancy. I wonder if the system's lottery could draw such treasures, Lu Changxing thought hopefully to himself. According to the books, these heavenly materials and earthly treasures are extremely rare. They are at least 3rd rank heavenly materials and treasures. But due to his trust in the system, Lu Changxing felt that this wasn't a problem. However, thinking about how the system didn't provide much child money when having children, Lu Changxing felt somewhat distressed. He could only hope that as the children grew up, they would bring him more rewards in other aspects. Sigh, it's difficult, life is so hard for me. Lu Changxing shook his head, stopped his fanciful thoughts and went into the practice room to sit down and cultivate. An hour later, Lu Changxing opened his eyes. My advancement from a 7th grade spiritual root to a 6th grade was quite natural, he reflected. Reliant on the development of the children's spiritual roots and stacking 8th grade and 9th grade spiritual roots, there was not much noticeable speed difference. It seems that it will primarily help with bottleneck issues, he concluded. Lu Changxing had experienced that after advancing to middle grade spiritual root, his cultivation speed had not increased significantly. He understood that the main difference between a 7th grade and a 6th grade spiritual root was in their impact on realm bottlenecks. There were differences in cultivation speed of spiritual energy, but they were not that significant. Chapter 202, Yin-Yang Harmony Technique. Foundation Establishment. _1 Jianghu Mountain. Inside the practice room. Lu Changxing sat cross-legged with his eyes closed, focusing on his practice, as 7 fierce strands of sword qi lingered within his flesh, almost piercing through his skin. The normally handsome and extraordinary visage of Lu Changxing was now twisted with pain. Huff. After a long while, Lu Changxing's expression eased, and he opened his eyes, exhaling a long breath of turbid air. Although the pain of expelling the elixir toxicity is nothing compared to the benefits, the torment of the sword qi is truly excruciating. Lu Changxing gently wiped the sweat from his forehead, performed a cleansing technique, and exclaimed with feeling. However, once I break through to the foundation establishment stage and cultivate the 7 luminaries Great Freedom Sword Scripture to the 2nd level, I can condense a 7 luminary stars lamp within my body. With this lamp formed, I can ignite its flame and autonomously burn away the elixir toxicity and impurities in my body, without having to use the 7 luminary sword qi to endure such agony, Lu Changxing muttered to himself. The 7 luminaries Great Freedom Sword Scripture has a corresponding technique for each level. The 2nd level includes a divine skill, the 7 luminary stars lamp. This allows the cultivator to solidify a heart lamp within. Not only does the lamp help the cultivator expel elixir toxicity, condense mana, and strengthen the foundation, it can also incinerate spiritual energy, accelerate cultivation, protect the mental spirit, and aid in enlightenment, among other things. It is profoundly powerful. Additionally, the cultivator can even cast this lamp into a tangible magic artifact. It is a top-tier spiritual artifact with both offensive and defensive capabilities. Lu Changxing didn't dwell further on this. He stood up, looking at the porcelain bottle beside him, now empty. I've almost used up all my elixir medicines. I need to make a trip to the 9 Dragons marketplace. This is also a good opportunity to deal with all the items I collected from Xia Long and the others. Then I can stock up on more elixir medicines and also equip my 2nd-rank puppet with middle-grade spirit stones, Lu Changxing thought to himself, walking out of the practice room and preparing to visit the 9 Dragons marketplace. But when he reached the backyard, intending to tell his wives that he would be out, he saw the 4th elder holding his chubby grandchild and chatting with the heavily pregnant Lu Miaoyun. As soon as the 4th elder heard that Lu Changxing was planning to visit the 9 Dragons marketplace, she immediately said, "Changxing, the outside world is not very peaceful right now. If you don't have urgent business, it's better not to leave Jianghu Mountain. If you need to go to the 9 Dragons marketplace, you can wait for another 2 months. The 2nd elder will be returning by then. You can go with the 2nd elder and let Miaoga rest a bit too," the 4th elder thus advised. "All right, Grandma," Lu Changxing replied promptly upon hearing this. Although the situation between the Qin family and the Lu family appeared to have calmed down temporarily, it was only superficially much improved. Underneath the surface, friction continued unabated. Lu Changxing deduced that the Qin family was likely waiting for an opportunity, a chance to act. They could launch an attack at any moment. Being the talisman master of the Lu family, he estimated he was certainly one of the Qin family's targets. There was a chance that he could be attacked by the Qin family. Although Lu Changxing was confident that as long as he did not encounter a foundation establishment great cultivator, he feared no one, but it was just a trip to the marketplace, no need to rush. And so, 2 months passed. In these 2 months, 3 of Lu Changxing's children were born. Of note, 2 of these children possessed spiritual roots. One was Lu Miao's 3rd child with a 9th grade spiritual root. The other was Shuer's 3rd child with an 8th grade spiritual root. Thus, the number of Lu Changxing's children possessing spiritual roots reached 14. The total number of Lu Changxing's children, including those yet to be born, had also reached 77. 5 days later, the 2nd elder returned. As the 2nd elder prepared to journey back to the 9 Dragons marketplace, Lu Changxing, accompanied by little Qing, left with the 2nd elder for the 9 Dragons marketplace. If he had been going alone, Lu Changxing naturally would not have taken anyone with him. But this trip was to take over for Lu Miaoga, and he was going to stay in the 9 Dragons marketplace for half a year, so having little Qing by his side was indeed convenient. 1.5 days later, the flying boat arrived smoothly at the 9 Dragons marketplace. After parting ways with the 2nd elder, Lu Changxing took little Qing back to their residence. Seeing the 12 maids in the courtyard, Lu Changxing enjoyed them thoroughly. After all, the kind of maids trained by White Jade Tower offer an unmatched experience. The next morning, Lu Changxing went to the spiritual talisman shop. He told Lu Miaoge that he would be staying in the marketplace for a while and that she could take a break if she wished. Lu Miaoge didn't refuse. Though the spiritual talisman shop didn't have too much busy work, most of the time, it was necessary to have someone preside over the shop to deal with some affairs, which made it difficult to focus on cultivation and study of the talisman path. After Lu Miaoge had been notified, Lu Changxing skillfully handled the items collected from Xia Long and the others. Aside from keeping 2 magic artifacts for his own use, he sold everything else, netting Lu Changxing a total of 2,400 spirit stones. With his fresh earnings, Lu Changxing began to spend. He purchased a batch of elixir medicines and materials necessary for practicing the 100 refinements treasure body art, and also exchanged for 10 middle-grade spirit stones. Although 1 middle-grade spirit stone is equal to 100 lower-grade spirit stones, considering the exchange rates and handling fees, 10 middle-grade spirit stones cost Lu Changxing a total of 1,030 spirit stones. He'll skip the White Jade Tower for now. Walking home, Lu Changxing glanced at the over 800 spirit stones remaining in his storage bag and dismissed the idea of visiting the White Jade Tower. After all, the consumption at the White Jade Tower is somewhat high, and with his 800+ spirit stones, he could only buy maids with lower-grade spiritual roots. Now with 10 wives and maids having spiritual roots, and his own spiritual root upgraded to middle grade. Chapter 203, Yin-Yang Harmony Technique. Foundation Establishment. Lu Changxing's expectations had risen accordingly. He wished the mother of his child would have a better spiritual root. If he were to go to White Jade Tower to buy a maid again, he would buy one with a middle-grade spiritual root. Now, a lower-grade spiritual root really didn't inspire much interest in him. After returning home, Lu Changxing took out the second-rank puppet from his storage bag in his room. With a pinch of his fingers executing a spiritual art, he removed the heart-protecting mirror from the puppet. He took out the 10 lower-grade spirit stones inside and replaced them with the 10 middle-grade spirit stones he had exchanged for. This is much more reliable. Lu Changxing looked at the metal puppet in front of him and nodded in satisfaction. With the support of 10 middle-grade spirit stones, this second-rank puppet could now tussle with a Foundation Establishment Great Cultivator for a bit longer. Otherwise, according to his previous estimation, after the 5 javelins on the puppet's back were launched, the stored spiritual power would be almost depleted. A little over a month later. On the second floor of the spiritual talisman shop, Lu Changxing held a talisman pen and smoothly completed a superior-grade talisman. Changxing, you've already surpassed me in talisman making. At this rate, I estimate that in 4 or 5 years, you'll be able to try your hand at crafting supreme talismans and become a top-level first-grade talisman master. Lu Miaoge, dressed in white surpassing snow, with a beautiful face, smiled as she watched Lu Changxing finish making the talisman. In the past, she would feel somewhat frustrated watching Lu Changxing's rapid progress in the talisman path. But as Lu Changxing caught up with her with his swift improvements, she gradually came to terms with it. After all, she was never one to be fiercely competitive by nature. Seeing Lu Changxing's progress made her happy for him. It's also thanks to Sister Miaoge for looking after the shop this past year that I've been able to focus on the talisman path in the tranquility of Jianghu Mountain and make such rapid progress, Lu Changxing said with a smile. After all, the 4th elder had entrusted him to manage the shop. But previously, he had handed the shop over to Lu Miaoge on the pretext of spending time at home with his wives and children. However, my current cultivation level is still too low, and I can only craft relatively simple superior-grade talismans. To go further and craft more complex superior-grade talismans, I must break through to the 6th level of energy refinement. As for supreme talismans, I guess I'll have to wait until I reach the 7th level of energy refinement to try practicing them. But with my 9th grade spiritual root, I don't know when I'll be able to break through to that level, so even if my skills on the talisman path improve, it's pointless. Lu Changxing then continued with a wry smile. He didn't want to demoralize this young lady too much on the topic of talisman path. As long as you spend more time on your cultivation and reach the 6th level, you can apply for a high-rank breakthrough elixir from the family. Then you'll be able to break through to the 7th level very quickly, Lu Miaoge said, biting her lip gently, trying to comfort him. She also felt it a pity for Lu Changxing's spiritual root talent. Such a great talent for talisman making, yet held back by his spiritual root. Thank you, Sister Miaoge, I will certainly work hard on cultivation, Lu Changxing nodded slightly. Master, young Master Bai has arrived. At that moment shopkeeper Xianxia came to report. Just say I'm not here. From now on, whenever this young Master Bai comes, you're to say I'm not here, Lu Miaoga said, furrowing her brows slightly upon hearing this. Yes, Master, Xianxia nodded. Sister Miaoga, why not just tell this young Master Bai outright to save him from pestering you like this? Lu Changxing asked upon hearing this. He had been around long enough to know what this young Master Bai was all about. This young Master Bai came from the Bai family at Whitebird Lake. The Bai family had always had a good relationship with the Lu family of Jianghu Mountain, with numerous marriages between the two. Not long ago, the Bai family had made an overture to the Lu family about an arranged marriage. They wanted young Master Bai to marry Lu Miaoga. With a 5th grade spiritual root and being a superior grade talisman master, the Lu family naturally did not want her to marry off. But given the Lu family's current circumstances, it was difficult for them to outright refuse the Bai family's proposal without causing offense. So they tactfully conveyed that the matter was for Lu Miaoga to decide. If she was willing, it could be settled. Subsequently, young Master Bai came to Nine Dragons Market, starting to pursue Lu Miaoga. I've already told him explicitly before that I am devoted to my practice and not considering romance, Lu Miaoga said softly. Devoted to my practice and not considering romance? Sister Miaoga, do you really think this way, or is this just an excuse to reject young Master Bai? Lu Changxing asked, raising his eyebrows curiously as he casually asked. In the cultivation world, where fortunes change rapidly, only as a foundation establishment great cultivator can one truly stand firm. If I want to attempt foundation establishment, I can't allow myself to be distracted by romance, Lu Miaoga replied with a light press of her lips, voicing her determination with a gentle but firm voice. That means you haven't completely ruled out the possibility. If you were to consider it, what would be your requirements for a Dao companion? Lu Changxing chuckled lightly, inquiring in a casual tone. His relationship with Lu Miaoga was quite good by now, so this kind of conversation did not hold too much taboo for them. I have not given it much thought yet, Lu Miaoga said, her eyes lowered, speaking softly. I believe that with your potential, Sister Miaoga, you will definitely be able to succeed in foundation establishment, Lu Changxing said, not pursuing the topic further. Foundation establishment, it's easier said than done, Lu Miaoga shook her head slightly. As someone born into the cultivation family of the Lu family, she knew very well how difficult it was to reach foundation establishment. Otherwise, aside from the Lu family ancestor, no new foundation establishment cultivator would have emerged in the family. Without access to a foundation establishment elixir, even if one reaches the peak of energy refinement with the appropriate age and possesses foundation establishment spirit objects, the probability of successfully establishing the foundation is at most 30%. Then Lu Miaoga looked at Lu Changxing and said, if you become a second-ranked talisman master, there might still be hope for you to achieve foundation establishment in the future. Chapter 204, Yin-Yang Harmony Technique. Foundation Establishment. Her words were not meant to comfort. In Lu Miaoga's opinion, with Lu Changxing's talent for the talisman path, if he became a second-grade talisman master and made good connections with other powers, there was still hope for him to obtain a foundation establishment elixir and foundation establishment spirit objects to take a shot at foundation establishment. Although the probability was also very slim. I don't have any extravagant hopes about foundation establishment. I'd be satisfied if I could break through to the energy refinement late stage, Lu Changxing shook his head. He always appeared casual about cultivation to others, very much like a salted fish. After all, the persona of someone who devoted his heart to the path of cultivation didn't quite match up with that of a man who was the father of more than 70 children. It wouldn't do to proclaim his dedication to the path and desire for foundation establishment one moment, and then go off to make children the next. Changxing, I won't be coming over for the time being, so the shop will be a bother for you to look after. If you have any issues, feel free to send me a message at any time. Lu Miaoga sighed softly and did not dwell on the topic. After all, not to mention Lu Changxing's 9th grade spiritual root, even with her own middle grade spiritual root, the probability of achieving foundation establishment wasn't much to speak of, which was quite worrying. Okay, no problem, Lu Changxing nodded. In the following days, Lu Changxing returned to his previous working life routine. His daily life remained as bland, tedious, and tasteless as before. Regarding having children, Lu Changxing took an easygoing approach. He didn't strive for it, nor did he deliberately control it. If it happened, then it happened. So in the span of 3 months, 4 maids became pregnant. That day, Lu Changxing was meditating and cultivating on the second floor of the spiritual talisman shop. Suddenly he sensed a familiar throbbing. It let Lu Changxing know that a child had been born on Qingzhou Mountain. This child possessed a spiritual root. And at that moment of throbbing, a familiar system notification rang out. Congratulations to the host for the birth of 15 offspring with spiritual roots. You've earned 1 chance at a luck draw. 15 of them. Looks like there's some hope for child money after all. Upon hearing this system notification, Lu Changxing couldn't help but feel elated. Although the number had changed from 1, 2, 3 children per child money to 5 now, Lu Changxing felt it was still nice to have any at all. System draw prize. Lu Changxing silently willed it. Immediately, the familiar wheel of fortune appeared. Without overthinking, Lu Changxing commanded, "Start the draw." At once, the familiar golden light special effect appeared, and the wheel spun rapidly before slowly coming to a stop on cultivation technique. Ding! Congratulations host on obtaining the cultivation technique, Yin-Yang Harmony technique. The reward has been placed in the system space, and the host can check it at any time. A translucent jade scroll icon appeared, alongside the system notification. Yin-Yang Harmony technique? Is this a dual cultivation technique or a technique from the heretical path? Lu Changxing's brows raised as he saw the technique. Having obtained the 7 luminaries' great freedom sword scripture, he wasn't too concerned about drawing another technique. But that didn't mean he had no need for techniques. For example, he needed techniques for cultivating the mental spirit and dual cultivation. Lu Changxing did have demands in those areas. Right away, Lu Changxing examined the system space to check the details of the technique he had just drawn. Cultivation technique, Yin-Yang Harmony technique. Grade, peripheral sect level. Description: the Yin-Yang superior, blessed with extraordinary talent yet indulged in the pleasures of men and women, hindered his cultivation. On the verge of death, after observing various techniques, he integrated them into one, creating the Yin-Yang Harmony technique, which allows cultivators to explore the great medicine within the human body through the path of Yin and Yang and uncover the mysteries of the origin of cultivation. A peripheral sect level technique. From this description, it doesn't sound like just a simple dual cultivation technique. It should be a technique from the demon path that cultivates through dual cultivation. Lu Changxing's frown deepened as he read about the Yin-Yang Harmony technique. But how good a technique truly is, one only knows after trying it out. After all, it is, at the very least, a peripheral sect level technique. System extract. Without much thought, Lu Changxing focused his mind and extracted the Yin-Yang Harmony technique. In an instant, the method of cultivating the Yin-Yang Harmony technique, its related content and various key points flooded into Lu Changxing's mind like a divine insight. After some time, just as I suspected. It's not a purely dual cultivation technique, but rather a technique from the heretical path of cultivation. Lu Changxing opened his eyes, fully comprehending the Yin-Yang Harmony technique. As he had guessed, it was a technique from the heretical path. It allowed one to swiftly enhance one's strength through dual cultivation, all the way to the nascent soul stage. If he didn't have the 7 luminaries' great freedom sword scripture, Lu Changxing might consider cultivating this technique. But since he had it, Lu Changxing was not at all inclined to cultivate this technique. The reason was simple. No one understood the merits of these 2 techniques better than him. In terms of cultivation speed, the Yin-Yang Harmony technique had the upper hand. However, in terms of foundational strength, the 7 luminaries' great freedom sword scripture far surpassed it. What Lu Changxing emphasized was to advance steadily, build a robust foundation and achieve greatness later in life. If he cultivated the Yin-Yang Harmony technique, let alone reaching the nascent soul stage, it would definitely impact his later stages. Even though I want to cultivate this Yin-Yang Harmony technique, as a technique created by the Yin-Yang superior by combining many others, it's incredibly inclusive. There are many secret techniques within it that I can practice and that will be of use to me. Lu Changxing mused to himself. This Yin-Yang Harmony technique as a peripheral sect level method was naturally no simple matter. It included many dual cultivation secret techniques, astonishing Lu Changxing with its breadth of knowledge. For instance, it contained a secret technique called Dragon Invocation Technique. This allowed a cultivator to continuously harvest the true Yin essence of female cultivators, thereby making one's cultivation soar dramatically. Chapter 205, Yin-Yang Harmony Technique. Foundation Establishment. _4 If a woman possesses a special spiritual body, she can even gather certain characteristics of the spiritual body from it. However, this secret technique does have some detrimental effects on female cultivators. If over-harvested, it can damage the woman's origin source and lead to death through direct harvesting. Besides the dragon invocation technique, which is a heretical path of cultivation by harvesting, Lu Changxing also came across several good cultivation techniques. One secret technique was called the 5 aggregates proliferation method, which, after being cultivated by a male and female, could increase the odds of pregnancy. As cultivators increase their cultivation levels, there is also a side effect. It becomes more difficult to have offspring. For those in the qi refinement realm, there are no significant consequences yet. However, once breaking through to the foundation establishment, there will be some impacts. If someone breaks through to the core formation stage, it becomes very difficult to have children. As for the nascent soul stage, it's even more challenging. And this 5 aggregates proliferation method enables one to cultivate and conserve essence, thus improving the chance of having children. The second cultivation technique is the tender embrace technique. It is a superior method for dual cultivation. Unlike the dragon invocation technique, which solely advances oneself by consuming the essence of female cultivators. In the process of dual cultivation with the tender embrace technique, although the man absorbs the woman's primal yin essence, this primal yin essence merges with the man's primal yang essence. Thus, 1 produces 2, 2 produces 3, nourishing more of the yin and yang essences, eventually returning a portion back. It can not only replenish what the woman has lost, but the surplus can also nourish the woman, bringing her immense benefits. However, being a secret technique from the yin-yang harmony technique, there are side effects. That is, with excessive dual cultivation, it can cause the woman to become increasingly infatuated and affectionate towards the male cultivator. But in Lu Changxing's view, this is hardly a downside. After all, he only practiced dual cultivation with his own wives, concubines, and maids. He had no intention of becoming a philanderer or doing anything that defies morality and injures the heavens. There was another secret technique called the inverted phoenix cultivation technique. It required a virgin female cultivator to practice. Once the woman has cultivated the technique to a certain profound level, the male cultivator can perform the secret technique steal the woman's primal yin in an instant to break through cultivation level bottlenecks. Foundation establishment, core formation, nascent soul. These 3 major realm bottlenecks can be aided with this technique for breakthroughs. Perhaps the maids of the White Jade Tower who are cultivating the charming lady elemental cultivation are practicing a similar technique? It's just that charming lady elemental cultivation allows those without a spiritual root to cultivate as well. Lu Changxing felt that the inverted phoenix cultivation technique was somewhat like an upgraded version of the charming lady elemental cultivation. It's a pity that the inverted phoenix cultivation technique requires too much time to cultivate, and it demands a certain cultivation level from female cultivators. Otherwise, I could try the effect by purchasing a maid from the White Jade Tower for cultivation. Lu Changxing shook his head slightly. He felt that revealing the cultivation technique from the yin-yang harmony technique was not suitable at the moment. Otherwise, it could easily lead to trouble. However, this tender embrace technique can be tried when I go back. Lu Changxing thought to himself. After all, trying out dual cultivation techniques with one's own wives is a pleasure for the bedroom. He had previously bought the dragon locking secret technique, the Jade Chamber's essential secret, and the 36 scattered hands of Dongzuanzi, and had experienced them as well. However, those 3 were merely worldly arts of the bedroom and did not qualify as dual cultivation techniques. And revealing the tender embrace technique to his wives wouldn't be an issue. He could simply say he stumbled upon it at the market for loose cultivators. Night fell. Xiaoqing, come here, your husband has something good to teach you. After returning home and having dinner, Lu Changxing called Xiaoqing to his room. Afterward, son-in-law, Xiaoqing can't take it anymore. Lying on the bed, Xiaoqing's eyes, brimming with water, were filled with tender affection and charm. Xiaoqing, see how much your cultivation level has increased. Lu Changxing asked, looking towards Xiaoqing. Son-in-law, I've been cultivating for about a day or 2. Xiaoqing's face flushed with excitement and immediately showed a look of surprise. A day or 2, it seems the effect is just average. Lu Changxing pondered softly. He knew this also depended on the cultivation level of both individuals. Because Xiaoqing was only at the 3rd level energy refinement, the effect was better for her than for him. Through dual cultivation he had only managed a slight increase, probably equivalent to 2 or 3 hours of meditation. However, something is better than nothing. It's at least better than not having anything, and it added a bit of boudoir pleasure. Lu Changxing didn't mind thinking any further. After all, this was as good as getting something for nothing. He then positioned Xiaoqing properly and smiled. No problem, little by little adds up. Let your son-in-law aid you in your cultivation. Great dream, Immortal City. Inner city cave dwelling area. But then, outside one of the cave dwellings, nature's spiritual energy was suddenly drawn out, forming a spiritual energy vortex. Someone is making a breakthrough to Foundation establishment. By the looks of it, they have breached the 3 barriers of Foundation establishment and have reached the most critical step. It's uncertain whether they'll be successful or not. The unusual surge in nature's spiritual energy drew the attention and curiosity of other cultivators from nearby cave dwellings. However, the onlookers were few. After all, in a place like Great Dream Immortal City where high-end cave dwellings are rented out to outsiders, there are cultivators attempting Foundation establishment and challenging their bottlenecks every year. And at this very moment, inside the cave dwelling, Foundation establishment, achieved. Meng Xiaochan opened her eyes and a purple light flickered in her pupils. At this moment, her face also reverted to its original appearance, bearing a 3 to 4 part similarity to before. But as if her facial features had matured from her previous delicate beauty, she transformed into a woman of breathtaking allure. Her entire being radiated an elusive and ethereal charm, making her feel ungraspable. I've successfully established my foundation. Meng Xiaochan looked at her own palms and couldn't help but show a joyous smile on her face. Afterward, she closed her eyes, and in her mind appeared the image of a handsome and upright young man. In this manner, she quietly felt the state of her mental spirit and her emotions. Moments later, Meng Xiaochan felt a surge of rising sentiment in her heart and immediately opened her eyes, dispelling the image in her mind and suppressing the feelings in her heart. What a domineering Lockhart Gu! Even after my foundation establishment it still affects me. I must find a way to solve it, to kill him and take back the Lockhart Gu. Meng Xiaoquan's eyes revealed a determined look. But as soon as the thought emerged, she felt a pang of turmoil and pain in her heart, feeling as though she should not have such thoughts. Meng Xiaochan immediately formed a spiritual art with her hands to calm her inner turmoil. She began to think about how she was going to take back the Lockhart Gu. Chapter 206. Two Boss. The big boss might not make it. _19 Dragon's Market. Jade Meal Pavilion. Inside a private room, Yu Maoqing was dining and drinking with Lu Changxing. Brother Lu, the situation of the Lu family doesn't seem very optimistic. Do you have any plans in mind? After the drinks had flowed for a while, Yu Maoqing initiated the conversation. What plans could I have? When the sky falls, there's someone tall to bear it. It's not my turn to worry. What, Brother Yu, are you bringing this up because you have a strategy in mind? Lu Changxing lifted an eyebrow when he heard this. Today Yu Maoqing invited him to drink in this private room, which made him feel that the other party had something to say. Now hearing this, he thought to himself that indeed there was something. What strategies could I possibly have? It's just that the Yu family is interested in recruiting you, Brother Lu. They asked me to act as a mediator. They conveyed that if Brother Lu is willing to join the Yu family, they are also willing to offer a family maiden in marriage to you. As for the conditions and treatment, Brother Lu, you are also free to make requests, said Yu Maoqing as he took a bite of his dish, smirked bitterly and spoke the truth. I, Lu Changxing, came from humble beginnings to join the Lu family. Now that my wives, concubines and children are all with the Lu family, how can I commit such an act of betrayal against my own family? Lu Changxing waved his hand dismissively. Brother Lu, please don't take offense. It's just that the Yu family knew of our acquaintance, which is why they had me act as the mediator. There's no other implication. I'll punish myself with a drink. Yu Maoqing promptly lifted his cup and announced, expressing his apologies. I'm well aware of that. Lu Changxing nodded slightly, not taking it too much to heart. He knew that Yu Maoqing was just a go-between. The Yu family asking him to be the mediator didn't leave him any choice but to accept. In that case, I'll give the Yu family a response later. However, Brother Lu, with your talent in the talisman path and having become a top-level talisman master at such a young age, I reckon the Yu family won't give up easily. They will likely send someone to recruit you again. Yu Maoqing explained. Envy was an inevitable undertone in his voice. Previously, when the Yu family asked him to mediate, he was somewhat surprised. But after learning that Lu Changxing was a top-level talisman master, his surprise was immense. He had always thought Lu Changxing was a middle-grade talisman master. Little had he expected Lu Changxing to have been promoted to top-level talisman master. In his awe at Lu Changxing's talisman path talent, he understood why the Lu family said nothing about his multiple marriages. His status was such that it simply wasn't comparable to that of a cultured family son-in-law like himself. Alright, thanks for the heads up, brother Yu. Lu Changxing nodded. He could also sense what Yu Maoqing implied. It meant that the Yu family would arrange through Yu Maoqing to have him meet with someone from their family later. So it was like a courtesy heads up for now. Actually, as a friend, I think brother Lu could consider this option. It's not to say you should betray the Lu family. Rather, if the situation of the Lu family truly becomes untenable, brother Lu must consider an alternative for yourself. Yu Maoqing took a sip of his drink and voiced his thoughts. Let's see about that when the time comes. Lu Changxing sighed lightly. It's still a bit early to discuss this matter now. In his escape plans he had naturally considered an alternative. If it came to the point where the Lu family was truly failing, Lu Changxing planned to take his wives, concubines and children to escape and hide in the marketplace for a few years. Once the time was right, he would reveal his first-grade top-level talisman-making skill and choose to join forces like the Qingyun Commerce Guild. As for clans like the Yu family involved in cultivation, they weren't even within the range of his considerations. After all, not every cultured family was as relatively upright as the Lu family, a place where he could live comfortably and without worry. Moreover, after the incident with the Lu family, joining another cultivation family would ensure he never truly fit in and would face ostracism. He would rather join a commerce guild or a sect, where life would be more relaxed and carefree. Indeed, there's no need to rush these things, Yu Maoqing agreed, nodding. With brother Lu's talisman-making skill, you can establish yourself anywhere. He did not continue to delve into this topic. Half a month later, Lu Changxing was in the spiritual talisman shop, drawing talismans. Zhang Shan informed Lu Changxing that Yu Maoqing was looking for him. Brother Yu, what's the matter? Lu Changxing descended from upstairs and asked Yu Maoqing. It's about what I mentioned last time. The Yu family will be sending someone again to recruit brother Lu. The third young master of the Yu family has arrived today and asked me to invite brother Lu for a chat, Yu Maoqing announced. The third young master of the Yu family? Lu Changxing obviously did not recognize this third young master of the Yu family. But being referred to as the third young master, he inferred that the young master's status within the Yu family must not be ordinary. Brother Lu, why don't you go and meet him? Even if brother Lu isn't interested in joining the Yu family, it's still reasonable to meet, Yu Maoqing suggested. He then lowered his voice and added, moreover, from what I know, this third young master doesn't have the best of reputations. If brother Lu can avoid offending him, it's best to do so. Alright, I'll go with brother Yu and meet him then, Lu Changxing chuckled lightly and nodded in response. He was aware that if he refused, it would be difficult for Yu Maoqing to explain himself. And since the Yu family had sent a young master over, it was unlikely that he would just leave after making a visit without meeting anyone. Rather than going himself, later encounters would still lead them to seek him out, so it might as well be now. Why does it feel like these cultivation families are trying to uproot the Lu family? Lu Changxing suddenly thought of the previous incident where young Master Bai pursued Lu Miaoge. It seemed that young Master Bai's presence in Nine Dragons Square, persistently wooing Lu Miaoge, might not stem from genuine affection for Lu Miaoge. Instead, this approach could be a way to show earnestness and an attempt to have Lu Miaoge join the Bai family. Sigh, it truly is a case of everyone pushing a falling wall. The Lu family ancestor hasn't even passed away yet and it's come to this. If the Lu family ancestor were to die. Chapter 207. Second Master, the big boss is in trouble. Lu Changxing couldn't help but think in his heart. He felt that the cultivation world was more naked than he had imagined. Shortly after, Lu Changxing and Yu Maoqing arrived at a private room on the second floor of the Jade Meal Pavilion. Inside the private room, the table was already prepared with fine wines and dishes. Lu Daoist, it's an honor to meet you, said a handsome young man in a kubla brocade clothes with a somewhat effeminate air, who, upon seeing Lu Changxing, gave him a few glances and greeted him with a cupped fist. I've seen the third young master, Lu Changxing replied with a slight bow, knowing that this was indeed the third young master of the Yu family. Brother Lu, third young master, I still have some matters to attend to. You two chat, said Yu Maoqing as he introduced them to each other. He wouldn't linger after bringing Lu Changxing, so he took his leave with a cupped fist. Yu Ningyuan nodded slightly and waved his hand to indicate Yu Maoqing should step down. Then he made a gesture inviting Lu Changxing to sit down. Lu Daoist, please take a seat. The reason I invited Lu Daoist here this time, you probably already understand, he began. I heard from Yu Maoqing that you are not considering this aspect for the time being, but there's no rush. Lu Daoist can still listen to my offer. Even if it doesn't work out, we can still be friends and become acquainted, Yu Ningyuan said with a smile, picking up the wine pot and personally pouring wine for Lu Changxing. I consider it a fortunate matter to meet a young talent like third young master Yu, Lu Changxing replied. I'll drink first, he said, seeing that his host was so polite, he naturally wouldn't offend, and with a smile he drank all the wine in his cup. He exclaimed, good wine. These words were no mere courtesy. Lu Changxing hadn't drunk much wine. Just the white jade bamboo wine and white jade 100 flowers wine and others. But now he could clearly appreciate that this wine far surpassed the white jade bamboo wine and white jade 100 flowers wine he had tasted before. It nourished the spiritual power and mental spirit, probably a first-grade top-quality spiritual wine. This is the special spiritual wine from by Lake Mountain, Green Water Spiritual Wine. It's quite effective for nourishing the mind and spirit. Since you are a talisman master, Lu Daoist, you can drink more. If you like it, I have another pot on me, you can take it back to enjoy, Yu Ningyuan offered. Third young master Yu is too courteous. I cannot accept such a reward for no merit. How could I be so bold? Lu Changxing waved his hand, naturally not tempted by just a bit of spiritual wine. Seeing this, Yu Ningyuan did not dwell on the subject and started talking about other matters. He inquired about Lu Changxing's situation in the Lu family, his life. Then he spoke about the current situation of the Lu family and introduced his own Yu family's circumstances. If Lu Changxing didn't have a systematic approach and a clear plan for himself, he might genuinely have been moved by the third young master of the Yu family's appearance and words of attracting talents. After all, according to the third young master, the prospects of the Lu family were not optimistic. While the Yu family of By Lake Mountain not only had 2 foundation establishment great cultivators as pillars, within 10 years, there was hope for the birth of a third foundation establishment great cultivator. Their family's overall strength and future prospects far surpassed those of the Lu family. If Lu Changxing were willing to join, the future promised limitless possibilities. After wrapping up the conversation, Yu Ningyuan took out a pot of spiritual wine and 3 jade boxes, placing them on the table. Upon opening the jade boxes, inside each were a magic artifact talisman brush, 10 crystal clear middle-grade spirit stones, and 1 high-rank breakthrough elixir. Brother Lu, this is a small token of sincerity from my Yu family, he said. This set of resources would be enough for Brother Lu's cultivation to reach the energy refinement late stage. Moreover, if Brother Lu is willing to join my Yu family, my family would like to marry a legitimate daughter to Brother Lu as a wife. Once Brother Lu has cultivated to the energy refinement late stage, and has made a significant contribution, my Yu family might even bestow a high-grade cultivation technique and teach the insights of foundation establishment, Yu Ningyuan added with a hint of confidence on his face. I suppose the Lu family could not offer Lu Daoist such attractive terms, could they? He continued. Lu Changxing, looking at the spiritual wine, the magic artifact talisman brush, the 10 middle-grade spirit stones, and the high-rank breakthrough elixir in front of him, could not help but inwardly marvel at the Yu family's generosity. He instantly recognized that the brush was a top-quality magic artifact talisman brush. Together with the 10 middle-grade spirit stones and the high-rank breakthrough elixir, they were worth more than 3,000 spirit stones. It was undoubtedly a grand gesture. He understood in his heart that the Yu family was willing to pay such a price because they had seen the potential of his talents in the talisman path. They knew that in the future he wouldn't just be a superior talisman master, but had the potential to become a second-grade talisman master. Otherwise, a superior talisman master alone would not be worth such a huge investment for the Yu family to recruit. And to go so far as to marry off a legitimate daughter and to grant a high-grade cultivation technique. In powerful cultivation families, legitimate children seldom marry out of the family. For example, Yu Ningrong, who married Yu Maoqing, was only a member of a side branch of the Yu family. Third young master Yu, I am very sorry, but ever since I was insignificant, I have been with the Lu family, which has brought me up to where I am today. I truly cannot do something that would betray my family, Lu Changxing expressed with a regretful bow. If he were an ordinary cultivator faced with this offer, it would indeed be challenging to refuse. After all, with wealth, a woman, cultivation techniques, and the prospect of being part of the Yu family of Bai Lake Mountain, it was a complete package. Especially high-rank cultivation techniques and insights into foundation establishment, for an ordinary cultivator, they were absolutely irresistible. Even though every cultivator knew that their chances of foundation establishment were slim, the mere mention of anything related to it got them excited and hooked. After all, foundation establishment was the dream of countless cultivators. Even the slightest chance of success would be fiercely sought after. As soon as he expressed this, Yuan, who had a faintly confident smile on his face, stiffened. He looked at Lu Changxing with some astonishment. Unexpectedly, after all his persuasion, Lu Changxing was still not tempted. Chapter 208. Second Master, the big boss is in trouble. He actually refused me. To think, when he first received the task and saw the conditions the family was offering, he even had doubts. He felt the terms were too generous. It was only after the family told him about Lu Changxing's talent in the talisman path that he reluctantly accepted. But he never expected that at this very moment, Lu Changxing would actually refuse. It left him completely baffled as to what was going on. Lu Daoist, you might not be fully aware of the current situation of the Lu family of Jianghu Mountain. I can tell you directly that the lifespan of the Lu family ancestor is likely within these 3 to 5 years. And the Lu family has absolutely no way to obtain a foundation establishment elixir, definitely unable to produce a new foundation establishment great cultivator, and their previous attempts to find one in the Purple Shadow secret realm were fruitless. Under such circumstances, the downfall of the Lu family is already destined. Why must you? Yuan spoke up, his tone no longer as polite. However, before he could finish, a look of sudden realization dawned on Yuan's face. He understood why Lu Changxing had refused him. I see, it must be because of your wives and concubines, since all your wives, concubines and children are with the Lu family. Rest assured, Lu Daoist, as long as you join the Yu family when the Lu family falls, my Yu family can step in and try our best to protect your wives, concubines and children. Moreover, I've heard that you, Lu Daoist, are fond of the company of women, never happy without them, which is just like me. As long as you are willing to join the Yu family, you can enjoy all my 36 concubines and 72 maids. Yuan said with a confident smile on his face. Lu Changxing, upon hearing this, didn't even know what to say for a moment. This third young master of the Yu family had rendered him silent. He didn't know whether to call this third young master of the Yu family generous or something else. He just couldn't keep up with the other's train of thought. Lu Daoist, what do you think? If it comes to that, your children born in the future, I will let them recognize you as their godfather. Or, if you really have someone you like, I can give you a few of my concubines. Thinking he had seen through Lu Changxing's thoughts and confident of victory, Yuan spoke based on the information he had about Lu Changxing. He also thought about the great sacrifice he was making to get Lu Changxing to join the Yu family, and how his own family would surely reward him handsomely upon his return. Lu has no intention of betraying the Lu family at the moment, and also thanks young Master Yu for his hospitality. Lu Changxing didn't know what to say. He felt he couldn't quite connect with this young master of the Yu family. If the other party had continued to be as polite as before, treating the deal as a gentleman's agreement and parting as friends upon its failure, but with things as they were, he really didn't know what to say and thus took his leave. Lu Changxing knew. Seeing that he had offered such great benefits and yet Lu Changxing didn't appreciate them, a hint of anger appeared on Yuan's face as he wanted to say something. But remembering that they were still in the marketplace, he ultimately held back. He just snorted coldly and put the items from the table back into his storage bag. Brother Lu, I'm truly sorry for this time. Seeing Lu Changxing walk down the stairs alone, Yu Maoqing, waiting downstairs, guessed the outcome. Knowing that the conversation hadn't gone well, he apologized with a bow. It's nothing. Lu Changxing returned the bow and left the Jade Meal Pavilion without saying anything else. I wonder if what this third young master of the Yu family said earlier was true or false. After leaving the Jade Meal Pavilion, Lu Changxing thought about some of the things the young master of the Yu family had said. about the current situation of the Lu family. He knew the situation of the Lu family was not optimistic, but the words of this young master of the Yu family made it sound as if the Lu family was on the brink of destruction. He even vaguely felt that once the Lu family ancestor died, not only the Qin family of Red Leaf Valley, but also the Yu family of Bai Lake Mountain would come to take a share of the spoils. Whether this young master yes words are true or not, I must make proper arrangements for my wives and concubines, Lu Changxing reflected in his mind. As for himself, he wasn't too worried, having the power to protect himself. The main consideration is still regarding wives, concubines, and children. If a crisis falls upon the Lu family, how should I take all my wives, concubines, and children to safety? In this moment, Lu Changxing clearly recognized why most cultivators are alone. Because most of the time, being a loner and walking the Great Tao alone is indeed far better than having a family to look after. As for me, it can't even be said that I'm just taking a family along anymore. It's more like moving a small clan. However, since I've chosen this path, the path of many children bring much happiness, Lu Changxing naturally wouldn't complain about the trouble at this time. Feeling that there are too many wives and children. Its strength, in the end, it's still a lack of strength. If I had the strength of foundation establishment, none of these matters would be a problem. Lu Changxing let out a sigh, deeply feeling the importance of strength. His own strength was only sufficient for self-preservation. Yet it was not enough to protect all his wives and children. Regarding the wives, he'll think about it after returning to Jianghu Mountain in 2 months and see how to arrange things. It's just that having met this young master of the Yu family, I should inform the Lu family about it. Otherwise, once the Lu family finds out later, they might harbor some suspicions, Lu Changxing pondered in his heart. The issue of the Bai family's young master pursuing Lu Miaoga earlier, and this young master of the Yu family offering a high price to poach someone, he felt that the Lu family was probably facing quite a few such incidents. Since I've encountered it myself, it's best to let the Lu family know in advance, to avoid any misunderstandings later on. After all, it's a matter that can be explained with just a few words. After nightfall, Lu Changxing left the spiritual talisman shop and headed to the Lu family's large courtyard in the eastern district. He paid his respects to the second elder and spoke of today's events. Changxing, you're considerate. Upon hearing Lu Changxing's words, the second elder revealed a smile and patted his shoulder, saying, "The Yu family sent someone to poach you, surely offering a significant price. Your refusal to be swayed shows that our Lu family didn't misjudge you. Rest assured, our Lu family has been standing on Jianghu Mountain for hundreds of years, and we are not so easily toppled," the second elder declared. "Second elder, if not for the Lu family, I, Lu Changxing, would not be where I am today. I will surely advance or retreat together with the Lu family," Lu Changxing said with a firm expression. He didn't care whether the second elder's words were true or false, whether the Lu family's situation was good or bad. Since he was still with the Lu family, he must maintain the proper attitude. Very good, as long as you have this intention, that's enough." Seeing this, the second elder nodded with relief and patted Lu Changxing's shoulder again. Meanwhile, in the great dream Immortal city, the Lu family ancestor of Jianghu Mountain has only a few years left to live. Meng Xiaochan learned of a piece of news, her eyes flickering with contemplation before she left her cave dwelling and departed from the great dream Immortal city. In the blink of an eye, more than a month passed. The incident with the third young master of the Yu family was just a minor interlude for Lu Changxing. It hadn't affected his life in any significant way. He continued his daily routine of cultivation, talisman making, working, and assisting Xiaoqing with dual cultivation. Although he said he was helping Xiaoqing with dual cultivation, he himself also benefited quite a bit. Since something needed to be done anyway, cultivation was joyful and also improved his cultivation level. With his slight control, Xiaoqing did not get pregnant. But 2 other maids did. Lu Changxing didn't mind. After all, he couldn't just stop having children because the Lu family situation was not looking good, could he? These maids in the Nine Dragons market, the affairs of the Lu family, would not affect them here. On this day, Lu Changxing was meditating on the second floor of the spiritual talisman shop when suddenly a rush of panicky voices came. "Second master, something terrible has happened. The first master has been gravely injured, unconscious, and might not make it." Chapter 209, Sister Miaoga offended. _1 What? Sister Miaoga is critically injured, unconscious, and might not make it? Upon hearing this, Lu Changxing's eyes suddenly opened wide, with a sword-like gleam flashing through them. He hastily got up and walked out of the room, looking at Xianxia and asking what had happened. "Second master, I really don't know what happened. Just now my wife saw the badly injured big boss in the city and hurriedly brought her here, but she was already unconscious by the time she arrived," Xianxia said anxiously. After hearing this, Lu Changxing didn't ask any more questions and immediately went downstairs. He arrived at the first-floor lounge. There he immediately saw Xianxia's wife, Bai Su, propping Lu Miaoge up in a chair. At that moment, Lu Miaoge's exquisitely beautiful face, as pure as snow, was incredibly pale without a trace of color, and fresh blood was oozing from the corner of her mouth. Her beautiful eyes were dim and closed, her eyebrows slightly furrowed, showing signs of pain. Her snow-white dress was somewhat disheveled and torn, stained red with blood. On her back, there was a noticeable wound from which black malevolent energy was seeping out. Lu Changxing could tell at a glance that Lu Miaoge was in very bad shape. Her vitality was faint, and death was pervading her. "Sister Miaoge." Seeing Lu Miaoge in this condition, Lu Changxing's face changed, and he stepped forward to support her. He took out a porcelain bottle from his storage bag, poured out an elixir and put it into Lu Miaoge's mouth. This was the first-grade top-quality healing pill he had bought himself, known for its restorative effects. He then took out a dew talisman and used it on Lu Miaoge. "Changxing." Hearing Lu Changxing's voice, Lu Miaoge barely opened her eyes. Her pale face managed to show a faint smile, seemingly wanting to say something. But as soon as she opened her mouth, blood seeped from the corner of her lips. "No use, such an injury has already damaged the heart meridian and is spreading throughout the body. To heal and save a life, at least a second-rank top-quality elixir, or even a third-rank elixir would be needed." Lu Changxing grasped Lu Miaoge's wrist to check her condition. He found that her situation was extremely dire. She was completely in a critical state, as if the oil was gone and the lamp was burning out. Not only were her injuries severe, but the strike on her back also had a tyrannical force that was eroding and devouring Lu Miaoge's spiritual power and vitality. His ordinary healing pills and talisman spells were utterly ineffective. What to do? Thoughts raced through Lu Changxing's mind at high speed. He pondered how to save Lu Miaoge. After all, he had always held special affection for Lu Miaoge, the young lady, in his heart. The two had known each other for so many years, spent so much time together, and had developed deep feelings for each other. Even in his heart, Lu Changxing had long considered Lu Miaoge his woman, the mother of his future children. This situation made it impossible for Lu Changxing to watch Lu Miaoge die. A third-rank elixir is simply impossible to buy. A second-rank life-saving elixir isn't so easy to obtain either. Moreover, there's no time for me to look for a second-rank elixir now. In this situation, only by asking a foundation establishment great cultivator skilled in healing is there a hope of saving her life. Lu Changxing could only think of two methods, but neither was feasible. Just then he suddenly thought of a method. Dual cultivation. In the yin-yang harmony technique, there was a recorded secret technique. Nirvana art, this was a replenishing technique. By continuously harnessing a woman's fundamental yin energy, the great medicine of the human body, it could be used to heal one's own injuries and attain rebirth. Lu Changxing, who had thoroughly comprehended the yin-yang harmony technique, was very clear about this. This cultivation technique could be practiced in reverse, with yin and yang interchanging. Using his own pure yang energy, the essence of his human body, to nourish a woman, to treat her injuries and allow for a rebirth. But I'm no longer a pure yang body, and my cultivation is only at the chi refinement realm. Even if I use the nirvana art, the effect is limited, and against such injuries, it's not certain that she can be saved, Lu Changxing thought to himself. He knew that even with such a secret technique, it wouldn't be simple to save Lu Miaoge. Moreover, his relationship with Lu Miaoge hadn't progressed to that stage. And it wouldn't be right to use such a secret technique to save someone. "Changxing, be careful when you go out. The assailant is no ordinary robber cultivator." "They came prepared," Lu Miaoge said, coughing up blood. "Sister Miaoge, don't talk right now, you must hold on," Lu Changxing immediately said. He could see that Lu Miaoge was hanging on by a thread. Once she finished speaking her mind and her mental spirit relaxed, she would pass away. Cough cough. "Changxing, you once asked me what I looked for in a Tao companion. Actually, I think you're quite suitable, it's just that you're too sentimental. And you already have. Miaoyun. However, dying in front of you, I am already content." Cough cough, My only regret is the despair of never reaching Foundation establishment. I hope you can experience it for me. Lu Miaoge, knowing she was about to die, spoke her true feelings. And she didn't forget to encourage Lu Changxing to continue cultivating. As soon as she finished speaking, her eyes began to dim. Sister Miaoge, hold on, I have a way to save you. Lu Changxing said directly. At this moment he no longer hesitated or overthought. He decided to use the Nirvana art to treat Lu Miaoge. Because apart from the Nirvana art, Lu Changxing had no other options. As for losing her innocence and exposing his techniques, Lu Changxing didn't want to think too much about that at this time. Saving her was what mattered most. Besides, she had now confessed her feelings. After the treatment, she would become the mother of his children. Having made his decision, Lu Changxing no longer hid his abilities. He infused his 7 luminary spiritual power into Lu Miaoge's body, first to halt the malevolent energy at her wound from destroying her vitality. Changxing. Lu Miaoge, feeling the spiritual power surge into her body, was momentarily startled. She hadn't expected Lu Changxing's spiritual power to be so robust. But just speaking had used up all her strength and her consciousness was fading fast. Chapter 210, Sister Miaoge offended. I'm going to heal Sister Miaoge. Don't let anyone disturb me. Lu Changxing knew he couldn't delay any longer. After speaking, he gently lifted Lu Miaoge's delicate and soft body and swiftly made his way to the 3rd floor. He then took out a set of formation tools from his storage bag and laid them out. He set up the Superior Formation Heavenly Canopy 5 Elements Formation, which he had obtained from Xia Long. He brought Lu Miaoge to the bedroom and laid her on the bed. Sister Miaoge, I apologize for the offense. Lu Changxing didn't hesitate. He directly began to undo her blood-stained white dress, peeling away the fabric. Her alluring fair skin was revealed. Her curves undulated, her figure captivating, as though she were heaven's perfect creation. A healer holds a parent's heart. I am now saving a life with no other thoughts. Lu Changxing chanted to himself as he saw the usually pure and ethereal Lu Miaoge revealed without her mysterious veil, her icy beauty unveiled. But on the flawless, lustrous back of her jade-like body, there was a dark, black wound oozing with a malevolent aura. Lu Changxing took out a dew talisman from his storage bag and placed it on the wound on her back. Changxing. At that moment, the last bit of consciousness in Lu Miaoge made her pale face flush with a trace of red, and she faintly called out his name. But she was too weak to speak and her consciousness was fading. She could only let Lu Changxing arrange her in such an embarrassing position. Sister Miaoge, I apologize for the offense. Lu Changxing repeated. And then, on the 3rd floor of the spiritual talisman shop, Lu Changxing operated the yin-yang nirvana art, channeling his own yang essence to treat Lu Miaoge's injuries. By this time, Lu Miaoge had already lost consciousness. She was barely clinging to life, sustained only by Lu Changxing's efforts. Though she was unconscious, she seemed to sense something. Her jade body, covered only by a pair of white silk luo socks, tensed slightly, her figure moving subtly. And so as time slowly passed, the malevolent aura from the wound on Lu Miaoge's back was gradually suppressed and contained. Life began to slowly return to her body. It's working. Miss, oh miss, I'm spending my life to heal you, you'd better make it up to me when the time comes. Lu Changxing looked at the still unconscious but now slightly frowning Lu Miaoge, and exhaled softly. He knew with his yang cultivation, even with the yin-yang nirvana art, it was very difficult to truly save Lu Miaoge. He decisively used another secret technique from the yin-yang harmony technique, the life transference technique. Using this method, he sacrificed his own lifespan to transfer his essence and yang essence into Lu Miaoge's body. Whew! Lu Changxing took a deep breath. Then he grabbed one of the white-socked, delicate jade feet and continued the healing. Down on the 1st floor of the spiritual talisman shop. What's going on with Miaoge? What's the situation now? How is my sister doing? The 2nd elder and Lu Miaohuan rushed to the spiritual talisman shop upon learning of Lu Miaoge's situation to inquire. 2nd elder Lu, I'm unclear about the situation as well. At the time, the master was already at death's door, with only a thread of life remaining. But 2nd master said he had a way to save her, so he took the master to the 3rd floor and said he must not be disturbed. Xianxia sighed slightly as he spoke. He was also a cultivator. Though he was only at the 6th level of qi refinement, he could see that Lu Miaoge was almost at death's door. Unless there was some elixir or a foundation establishment great cultivator skilled in healing, there might be a chance to save her. How long has it been and there's still no response? Lu Miaohuan asked anxiously, wearing a black dress, her delicate features showing urgency. She was a bit rebellious and liked to oppose her sister Lu Miaoge, but the love between the two sisters was still deep. It's been 1 day but I don't know the specifics and didn't dare to disturb them. Xianxia said. 1 day already? That's too long. No, I have to go see. Upon hearing this, Lu Miaohuan said urgently, wanting to go upstairs to check. Miss Lu, this second master specifically instructed not to disturb him. Xianxia displayed a troubled expression. Miaohuan. Seeing this, the second elder immediately called out to Lu Miaohuan. If Changxing says he has a way to save Miaoge, perhaps he really does. The second elder thought of the old ancestor once saying that Lu Changxing was a person of great destiny. Perhaps he truly had a way to heal Lu Miaoge. Moreover, so much time had passed and they could only rely on Lu Changxing now. Miaoge has talismans and magic artifacts for protection. Ordinary robber cultivators are no match for her. It's very likely that this time it wasn't an ordinary robber cultivator, but someone who came prepared. I will notify the family of the situation, and Miaohuan, you must not leave the 9 Dragons Market. It's best if you stay in the big courtyard. The second elder continued speaking to Lu Miaohuan. Then he looked at Xianxia. If Changxing comes out, please let someone inform me. Don't worry, second elder Lu, if the master comes out, he'll send someone to notify you immediately. Xianxia gave a fist salute and nodded. Back on the 3rd floor of the spiritual talisman shop, Lu Changxing was still treating Lu Miaoge. Just then a soft, tender moan sounded. Lu Changxing heard the noise and instantly felt joy in his heart. He knew that Lu Miaoge's condition had improved. He immediately intensified the treatment, careful not to lose the hard-won spark of life. But as he looked at the woman before him, with her hair like a waterfall, skin like snow, and a graceful figure, Lu Changxing suddenly realized an issue. What if Lu Miaoge woke up? Given the current situation, he felt somewhat awkward about how to face her. After all, the relationship between him and Lu Miaoge wasn't that close. Although he was doing this to save her, for someone like Lu Miaoge, her purity was of great importance. Chapter 211. Sister Miaoge offended. As Lu Changxing was pondering how to face Lu Miaoge when she woke up, he heard her soft moan again. The sound was tender and contained a slight hint of inhibited endurance. In that moment, Lu Changxing immediately realized that Lu Miaoge was very likely awake. Lu Changxing wanted to speak up, but for a moment he didn't know what to say. Looking at Lu Miaoge with her beautiful eyes tightly shut and suppressing her voice, Lu Changxing suddenly understood. In this situation it wasn't just him who felt awkward. Lu Miaoge felt awkward too. She didn't know how to face him either. After all, Lu Miaoge's personality was gentle and aloof. Her heartfelt confessions earlier had been prompted by the face of impending death. Now, having revived and under these circumstances, it naturally made Lu Miaoge uncertain how to react. Like an ostrich, she continued to pretend to be unconscious, trying hard not to make any sound. Understanding the gist of the situation and seeing Lu Miaoge like this, Lu Changxing thought of a way to alleviate the awkwardness. His palm gently caressed Lu Miaoge's back, smooth as white jade and flawless as if the injuries had never existed. At this moment the injured skin on her back had healed completely, smooth like jade, leaving no trace of wounds. Then Lu Changxing gently embraced Lu Miaoge. Burying his head into her slender, jade-like neck, he inhaled the faint fragrance of her hair. In these conditions, Lu Miaoge still kept her beautiful eyes firmly shut. But her pale cheeks were flushed to the tips of her ears, her breathing somewhat rapid. The words spoken before dying. The situation at the moment made Lu Miaoge feel so embarrassed and ashamed, she wished she hadn't woken up, that she had just died instead. But then she thought of Lu Changxing's worried and caring look. Right now, the treatment he was giving her was solely to save her life. She could distinctly feel the continuous flow of vitality entering her body through this method, healing her injuries. And her injuries had been contained, it was just that she still felt incredibly weak. Knowing that Lu Changxing's actions definitely involved significant sacrifice. Otherwise, with the severity of her injuries, she would have been beyond saving. As her thoughts scattered, with Lu Changsheng's treatment speeding up, Lu Miaoge gradually found it harder to suppress her Buddhist instincts, clinging tightly to the sheets, biting her lips. Hoping for Lu Changxing to finish the treatment soon so he would leave. Otherwise, she really didn't know how to confront Lu Changxing. After all, she had a fondness for Lu Changxing, but her feelings weren't yet deep. Usually, she somewhat regarded him as a younger brother. Moreover, nominally, Lu Changxing was her brother-in-law. To be in such a state with her brother-in-law, Lu Changxing of course had no idea what Lu Miaoge was thinking. He continued tirelessly, growing more vigorous in his efforts. After all, Lu Miaoge's condition was indeed still weak, and needed stabilizing through treatment. He was also observing Lu Miaoge's condition, gauging her limits, careful not to take his teasing too far. After all, such matters had to be taken one step at a time. Time ticked away. How much longer will this last? If I don't wake up, will Changxing keep going like this? But isn't it said in the book? Lu Miaoge gasped for air, her entire body felt slack like mud under the treatment. Unaware of how much longer Lu Changxing would take. She thought to herself that she should have spoken up when she woke up. Now numb and limp, she didn't even have the strength to talk. At that moment, seeing Lu Miaoge sweating profusely and her feet arched in tension, Lu Changxing knew her condition was temporarily stable and he let out a low growl, ending the treatment. Afterward, he collapsed as if completely drained of energy, falling into unconsciousness. Changxing. Lu Miaoge came back to her senses from the lingering aftermath and saw Lu Changxing lying motionless. She couldn't help but call out to him twice. But seeing that Lu Changxing gave no response, her heart couldn't help but race, her mind in turmoil. She worried that Lu Changxing might have harmed himself in the process of saving her. Pop, Lu Miaoge pursed her lips slightly, and propped herself up a bit to look at Lu Changxing. She immediately saw Lu Changxing's handsome face, which was exhausted and pale. Changxing. Lu Miaoge called out with concern, wanting to check on Lu Changxing's condition. And just at that moment, Lu Changxing opened his tired eyes. Sister Miaoge, you're awake. That's great. Lu Changxing looked at Lu Miaoge and showed a weak but happy smile. Changxing, are you all right? Lu Miaoge asked concernedly. I'm fine, just a bit drained, cough cough. Lu Changxing spoke softly. Sister Miaoge, I'm sorry at that time, cough cough cough. I wasn't thinking about much, I just wanted to save you, so. After a moment of silence, Lu Miaoge, with a complex look in her eyes, bit her lip gently and said softly, Changxing, don't blame yourself, thank you for saving me. Sister Miaoge, I will take responsibility, cough cough, when the time comes I will ask the family head for your hand in marriage. Would you like to marry me? Lu Changxing continued, his face weak but filled with hope. Marry, a proposal. Upon hearing this, Lu Miaoge's mind was in chaos. She didn't quite know how to reply for a while. The pace of this change in their relationship was too rapid. It took her a moment to adjust, to come back to her senses from the current situation. Sister Miaoge, don't you want to? Lu Changxing said, somewhat disheartened. Changxing, can you give me some time? Lu Miaoge, holding one of Lu Changxing's hands, looked into his eyes tenderly. Cough cough, okay. Lu Changxing nodded gently. He knew that Lu Miaoge must be feeling very confused right now. The deed was already done. There was no need to rush at this moment. Changxing, are you sure you're all right? To save me, you must have paid a significant price, right? Lu Miaoge said with a face full of concern. Lu Changxing looked as if he had something to say but couldn't bring himself to say it. After a moment of silence, he said, I'm fine, I just need some rest. Changxing, please tell me the truth. Seeing Lu Changxing looking like this, how could Lu Miaoge possibly believe that he was fine? Sister Miaoge, you should know that I have some secrets. This time it was a type of dual cultivation secret technique. Lu Changxing confessed quietly. I know, I do not blame you. Changxing, everyone has their secrets. I realized early on you were different from ordinary cultivators. Don't worry, I will definitely keep your secret safe, Lu Miaoge immediately asserted, her pale face turning serious as she raised her hand as if to swear. I naturally trust you, Sister Miaoge. What I mean is, this type of healing belongs to a kind of dual cultivation technique. If I wish to recover slowly, I must use another kind of dual cultivation secret technique. Lu Changxing said with a wry smile. After hearing his words, Lu Miaoge blushed deeply, her embarrassment reaching her ears. But considering their current situation, she bit her lip and nodded. Afterward, Lu Changxing passed on the tender embrace technique to Lu Miaoge. P.S. The second chapter will be a bit late, but it will come. Chapter 212. 70 Kids Draw Lottery, Profound Origin Bead. _1 Spiritual Talisman Shop, 3rd floor. Inside the bedroom, a man and a woman embraced in sleep. Scattered beside the bed were a green bamboo leaf brocade robe and blood-stained white clothes, undergarments and a lotus corset. Lu Miaoge woke up. Looking at Lu Changxing, who was still hugging her in his sleep, the events of the past few days flashed through her mind. Her already pale cheeks instantly flushed with color, red as blood. She even felt as if she was dreaming. At first it was Lu Changxing healing her wounds. But then it turned into her healing Lu Changxing's wounds. After that, it became the two of them healing through dual cultivation. Thinking of the details of the dual cultivation process, and how Lu Changxing had playfully tormented her, Lu Miaoge couldn't help but blush to the tips of her ears and touched her lower abdomen. Sigh. She let out a helpless sigh. She could only say it was fortunate they were healing through dual cultivation. Otherwise, she feared that in a few months' time upon her return, she would have to go back with a bulging belly. Thinking of going back with a bulging belly, the gazes of her father, the fourth elder, and Lu Miaoyun, she dared not continue the thought. Lu Miaoge no longer dwelled on the thought and slightly sat up. Looking at the marks on her flawless body, her gaze towards Lu Changxing was filled with a trace of resentment. She couldn't help thinking, no wonder Lu Changxing had so many wives and concubines. If there were only one, how could she withstand such rough treatment? Lu Miaoge took out a new set of clothes from her storage bag and dressed herself, restoring her usual ethereal and elegant appearance. Sister Miaoge. At this moment Lu Changxing, hearing the movement, also woke up. He wasn't pretending to be asleep. This round of healing indeed left him extremely exhausted and weary. Changxing, you're awake. How is your body feeling? Lu Miaoge pursed her lips and asked tenderly with a voice like a virtuous wife and loving mother. It's not too bad. With a few more sessions of dual cultivation, I should be able to fully recover, Lu Changxing said, smiling and speaking frankly. Dual cultivating with Xiaoqing wasn't much help to him. But dual cultivating with Lu Miaoge was indeed much more effective. It was almost equivalent to half a month of arduous cultivation. However, he couldn't solely rely on this method for cultivation. Occasionally using dual cultivation to advance was beneficial for both men and women. But if it was too frequent, it could lead to an unstable foundation. Lu Miaoge, hearing the words dual cultivation, couldn't help but blush. Although dual cultivation was beneficial for her as well. She had experienced it over these days. But she still found it somewhat difficult to let go. Sister Miaoge, what exactly happened with the attack you encountered? Lu Changxing knew Lu Miaoge was a bit shy, so he got dressed and changed the subject. On my way here, I encountered 4 law cultivators at the late stage of energy refinement, she responded softly. They all concealed their faces, but through their methods, it was obvious they came prepared, specifically targeting me, she continued. However, I don't know who they were or who they were acting under. It might be the Qin family who sent them, but it's also possible that other families were involved, trying to shift the disaster eastward and give the Qin family trouble. Lu Miaoge spoke quietly. Lu Changxing nodded upon hearing her words. If they concealed their faces and auras, it would be really difficult to identify them and find out who was behind the act. After all, when the wall falls, everybody pushes. The situation with the Lu family, as Lu Miaoge described, other families could very likely be involved. Sister Miaoge, let's leave this matter to be handled by the family, Lu Changxing said. Regarding your condition, you can announce to the outside world that your heart meridians were damaged, which might bring some unexpected benefits, he suggested. Under his treatment, Lu Miaoge's body wasn't damaged to the point of affecting her heart meridians, but she still needed to recover for a while. Saying so would not only create a smokescreen but also help conceal the effects of his treatment. All right, I will inform them as such when the time comes, Lu Miaoge nodded slightly in response. She continued, by now the second elder should also be aware. We should go and inform him so as not to worry him. She had already become accustomed to sharing a room with Lu Changxing. But now that their relationship had progressed further, she was somewhat unsure how to act around him. Sitting like this, she couldn't help but be reminded of the events of the last few days, leaving her heart in turmoil. We should let him know, Lu Changxing agreed. The incident involving Lu Miaohuan and Jing Yongshan had reached Lu Miaoge's ears. Now that Lu Miaoge was seriously injured, the second elder would definitely have been informed. Changxing, regarding the healing, I will keep it a secret and claim that you came across an elixir and a secret technique by chance. As for what has transpired between us, let's not mention it to anyone for now, alright? Lu Miaoge took a breath, her voice carrying a bit of a plea. She could face Lu Changxing normally, but she wasn't sure how to deal with what had happened between them, or how to face the fourth elder and Lu Miaoyun. Alright, I'll listen to you, Sister Miaoge. I definitely won't mention it to anyone, Lu Changxing responded with a smile. He was also aware that their relationship had taken quite a sudden leap forward these past few days. The affection between them needed more time to grow. Afterward, he cleaned up the traces left in the bedroom from the past days and went downstairs. First master, second master, Xianxia greeted them respectfully as they descended from the upper floor. He conveyed the information regarding the second elder and Lu Miaohuan's visit. Thank you, Uncle Zhang. Aunt Bai was a great help with Sister Miaoge's situation. This is a small token of my gratitude, Lu Changxing said, taking out 3 superior-grade talismans from the storage bag as a thank-you gift. If it hadn't been for Zhang Shan's wife getting Lu Miaoge to him in time, he might not have had the chance to see her again. Second master, you're too kind, Zhang Shan said, waving his hand in denial. But seeing Lu Changxing's insistence, Zhang Shan accepted the talismans. After all, 3 superior-grade talismans were not a small sum for him. Chapter 213. Lottery Draw for 70 Kids, Profound Origin Bead. Watching Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoge leave side by side, looking like a golden boy and jade girl, Zhang Shan couldn't help but take a few more glances. He always felt that today the two bosses seemed to have become much closer, but he couldn't quite put his finger on where. Regarding this, he didn't pay much attention as it was none of his business. Eastern District, Lu family's large courtyard. Miaoge, I'm glad you're all right. Changxing, I owe you a great debt this time. Rest assured, I will report this to the family and apply for a reward for you, the second elder said upon seeing the somewhat pale faces of Lu Miaoge and Lu Changxing. He couldn't help but inwardly remark that indeed, as the old ancestor had said, Lu Changxing was a person of great destiny and had opportunities at his disposal. If it weren't for Lu Changxing this time, perhaps Lu Miaoge would have been in danger. Lu Miaoge was not only talented but also a high-quality talisman master. If something had actually happened to her, it would have been adding frost to snow for the Lu family's current situation. You flatter me, second elder, this is what I should do, Lu Changxing said with a bow. Soon after, the second elder also expressed that he had already sent a message back to the Lu family. Moreover, he would ask the enforcement team of the Nine Dragons Market to investigate the perpetrator behind the scenes. If an ordinary loose cultivator died, they'd be dead, no one would know or care. But Lu Miaoge, as a descendant of the Lu family of Jianghu Mountain, having encountered an assassination near the Nine Dragons Market and returning to the marketplace severely wounded, the marketplace would have to give an explanation. After all, such an incident would also reflect poorly on the marketplace itself. Most cultivators come to the marketplace seeking stability. If there are such bold robber cultivators who even ambush the descendants of cultivation families, it would naturally cause loose cultivators to feel uneasy and affect the marketplace's traffic. Meanwhile, in an inn at the Nine Dragons Market, how could you fail at such a simple task? 4 of you, and yet you still couldn't kill a 7th-level energy refinement cultivator. Third young master of the Yu family, Yuning Yuan, said to the 4 people before him, his face dark with anger. Third young master, Lu Miaoge, survived by using talismans to escape near the marketplace, so we didn't dare continue the pursuit. And she had been hit by my black fiend slash, with her life force beginning to fade, so her death seemed certain. I have no idea how she managed to survive. A stocky middle-aged man said while bowing. He also couldn't understand how Lu Miaoge had managed to survive. Humph, a bunch of useless trash. The third young master of the Yu family huffed coldly. He came here not only to poach Lu Changxing but also had other motives. That was to eliminate Lu Changxing, Lu Miaoge, and several other Lu family disciples as much as possible. Not only could it severely damage the vitality of the Lu family, but it would also infuriate them. When these things came to light, the Lu family would immediately suspect the Qin family. The Lu family was already like a trapped beast, constantly in friction with the Qin family. Once these incidents emerged, the conflict would explode, leading to an all-out confrontation with the Qin family. But he hadn't expected that the 4 people he had arranged failed to kill Lu Miaoge, a 7th-level energy refinement cultivator. And now that this incident had occurred, the Lu family members would surely be on guard, making it harder to find another opportunity. System. After Lu Changxing returned home, he murmured inwardly and opened the system interface. Name, Lu Changxing. Status, son-in-law of Lu family of Jianghu Mountain. Cultivation level, 7th level energy refinement. Lifespan, 27/155. Talent, 6th grade spiritual root. Cultivation techniques, 100 refinements treasure body art, 7 luminaries great freedom sword scripture. Spells, flame bullet technique, wind control skill, object manipulating technique, aura concealment technique, spiritual eye technique, sound transmitting technique. Skills, talisman making 2nd rank, puppet 2nd rank. Spiritual pets, 9 netherhound peach blossom goo, offspring, 6881st view details, 155, which means saving that person cost me 8 years of my lifespan, Lu Changxing murmured as he checked his lifespan through the system. He knew that saving someone using the life transference technique in the Nirvana art had cost him his own lifespan, but didn't know exactly how many years had been consumed. Now, seeing it on the system interface gave him a clear understanding. It seems that I really can't do this too often, otherwise no amount of lifespan would be enough. Lu Changxing couldn't help but exhale deeply. However, he wasn't overly concerned. Mainly because he was still young and had a lot of lifespan left, so he wasn't in a rush. Already 68 children, I wonder if at 70 the system will give any more child money? Lu Changxing thought to himself. Given the current situation of the Lu family, the urgency to improve his strength had intensified. But to enhance one's strength, apart from relying on time to cultivate, the fastest method was through opportunities. While others obtained chances through exploring relics and antecedents caves, he naturally relied on having children and then receiving child money from the system. In the blink of an eye, more than a month had passed. 3rd floor of the spiritual talisman shop. On the table and chairs beside the bed lay neatly folded white swirling dresses, white undergarments, plain lotus belly bands, belts and blue-green bamboo leaf robes. Changxing, I'll leave the shop in your care. Lu Miaoge, no longer paler, looked fresh and radiant. Her graceful, alluring figure lay in Lu Changxing's arms as she softly spoke. When it came to matters of men and women, there was a first time, a second time, a third time. At first, Lu Miaoge was somewhat reserved. But after Lu Changxing suggested dual cultivation for healing, which led to the second and third times, she gradually loosened up. This time, however, she was about to leave, returning to Jianghu Mountain. So the two of them spent the whole night healing in the spiritual talisman shop. Okay, I'll take care of the shop, Lu Changxing nodded in reply. But in truth he felt a bit helpless. He had originally planned to return to Jianghu Mountain with the second elder. However, Lu Miaoge had to go back because of the assassination attempt, so he was left to hold the fort here. Chapter 214. 70 Children's Draw, Profound Origin Bead. Lu Miaoge gave Lu Changxing a peck on the cheek and then threw back the covers. A pair of slender, jade-like legs stretched out, and the crystal-clear crescent moon-like feet touched the ground, presenting her beautifully curved figure as she quickly dressed. She restored herself to the usual ethereal beauty, as pure as snow and as elegant as a celestial. However, at this moment, the tenderness on her face made her seem less ethereal than usual. Changxing, I will head there first, Lu Miaoge said gently. All right, Sister Miaoge, be careful. Lu Changxing nodded. With the beautiful lady having departed, Lu Changxing also got up, exhaled softly and dressed himself. He could feel that, although Lu Miaoge was close and intimate with him, she seemed to be indulging and appeasing him a bit. Or rather, Lu Miaoge didn't entertain the idea of marrying him. Therefore, she tried to accommodate him in other aspects as a form of compensation. After all, we are missing a certain opportunity. Or perhaps, the young lady has a hurdle in her heart she can't overcome. Lu Changxing had a rough idea of why Lu Miaoge behaved this way. One reason was the issue with the fourth elder and Lu Miaoyun, which Lu Miaoge didn't know how to face. The other was having children. Lu Miaoge still harbored the ambition of the path of cultivation, aiming for a slim chance at foundation establishment. Having children would undoubtedly delay and affect her cultivation. Sigh, I don't necessarily need to have children either. Lu Changxing shook his head. As for having children, he also left it to personal choice. If Lu Miaoga truly didn't want to, he wouldn't force her to do anything. After all, he very much understood such matters for cultivators. However, in his case, with many wives, concubines and maids, children were plenty. Any woman marrying him was likely influenced, feeling the need to have at least a couple of children. But now I have to stay here for half a year, the matter of having children will have to be put aside. Lu Changxing sighed. He thought of how he had sent back to Qingzhou Mountain all his maids with spiritual roots. Now, in Nine Dragons Marketplace, aside from Xiao Qing, the other maids did not possess spiritual roots. Under such circumstances, his plans for superior progeny became somewhat challenging. Do I need to visit the White Jade Tower again? Lu Changxing pondered to himself. It's been a long time since I've performed a good deed, he'll take it as doing something good. After considering, Lu Changxing decided to make a trip to the White Jade Tower after all. After all, his efforts at breeding superior offspring mustn't cease. Counting Lu Miaoga, he only had 11 wives, concubines and maids with spiritual roots. Meanwhile, Red Leaf Valley. Senior, are you saying that you are willing to lend a hand to the Qin family? Qin family patriarch Qin Shuixing asked the petite youth before him with respect. Indeed, I have an old grudge with someone from the Lu family. Hearing that there is a blood feud between your Qin family and the Lu family, and with the Lu family ancestor about to pass away, I've come to settle this grudge and, by the way, claim a share of the spoils. Meng Xiaochan said aloud. That would certainly be acceptable. May I know what conditions or requirements you have, senior? Qin Shuixing continued respectfully upon hearing this. After all, despite his unimpressive appearance, the slim youth before him was a Foundation establishment great cultivator. In the blink of an eye, more than a month had passed. Lu Changxing had also added 3 maids in his courtyard at the Nine Dragons Market. They were, of course, the unfortunate souls he had rescued from White Jade Tower. All 3 possessed spiritual roots. However, their spiritual roots were not high, only 9th grade spiritual roots. It wasn't that Lu Changxing had run out of spirit stones. He thought that since he couldn't afford maids with middle grade spiritual roots anyway, he might as well save some money. He also just wanted to see how much his middle grade spiritual root would influence his children's spiritual roots. Phew. With this pace, in half a year, I should be able to break through to the 8th level energy refinement. Inside the spiritual talisman shop, Lu Changxing, who had been meditating with his eyes closed, opened his eyes and let out a long breath. Having such a cultivation speed was partly thanks to the assistance of the tender embrace technique. Another reason was that he continuously spent money and boosted his progress with elixir medicines. But with this speed of cultivation, Lu Changxing still wasn't satisfied. After finishing his cultivation session, Lu Changxing stood up and went to the talisman room, ready to draw talismans. Although he had come to Nine Dragons Market to take charge, the number of talismans he had to draw every month had indeed increased. He also had to spend quite some time each day drawing talismans. Just as he had taken out the talisman-making materials and was about to start the talisman-making process, a system prompt rang out. Congratulations to the host for having 70 descendants, you have earned 1 lucky draw chance. Really 20 portions of child money? In that case, by the looks of it, will the next one be at 90 or 100 children? Hearing this system prompt, Lu Changxing couldn't help but raise an eyebrow and speculate. However, this time, neither Jiang Luiyue nor Yu Yao's children have spiritual roots. The next moment, Lu Changxing shook his head slightly. He clearly remembered who the mothers of his 69th and 70th children were during this period. But neither of the children had shown signs of spiritual root pulsations, indicating that they did not possess spiritual roots. System, draw the prize. Without giving it too much thought, Lu Changxing silently uttered in his mind, wondering if this time the lucky draw could bring him a pleasant surprise. Immediately, the great spinning wheel of the system appeared. Begin the lucky draw. Lu Changxing said without hesitation. The spinning wheel was aglow with golden brilliance as it began to turn. It then slowly came to rest on the treasure section of the lucky draw panel. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining a rare treasure, Profound Origin Bead. The reward has been sent to the system space, and the host can check it at any time. A pattern of a deep blue bead, along with the system prompt, appeared. A rare treasure, the Profound Origin Bead? Seeing the reward he had drawn this time, Lu Changxing was somewhat curious. He immediately looked towards the system space. to check out what this profound origin bead was. Profound origin bead, grade, 3rd rank. Description: born from the profound origin waters, it can absorb nature's spiritual energy on its own, store spiritual energy, and after refinement, it is like a cultivator's second chi ocean core. It allows an energy refinement late-stage cultivator to be comparable to foundation establishment, and a foundation establishment late-stage cultivator to be comparable to false core. It can absorb nature's spiritual energy on its own, and after refinement, it acts like a second chi ocean core. Late-stage energy refinement comparable to foundation establishment? Late-stage foundation establishment comparable to false core? Lu Changxing, looking at the description of this rare treasure before him, was taken aback. He had previously thought about whether he could draw something that would quickly enhance his strength. But that was just wishful thinking without much expectation. To his surprise, the system had now awarded him a 3rd-rank rare treasure, the Profound Origin Bead. After refinement, late-stage energy refinement would be comparable to foundation establishment. Late-stage foundation establishment comparable to false core. Such effects were truly astonishing. Chapter 215, Danger. I must prepare for the worst. _1, Extract. Lu Changxing's mental spirit stirred slightly as he extracted the profound origin bead from the system space. Instantly, a chicken egg-sized, sapphire blue lustrous jade bead appeared. At the same time, detailed information about this profound origin bead entered Lu Changxing's mind. This profound origin bead, simply put, is like a portable battery. For chi refinement and foundation establishment cultivators, it can charge and extend endurance, also amplifying spiritual power and mana. But in the hands of a nascent soul immortal, its effects are rather average. It can only serve as a common amplifying treasure. Lu Changxing looked at the profound origin bead in his hand, muttering to himself. He had a more clear and direct understanding of the effects of this profound origin bead. However, this effect is already very powerful. It's enough for me until I reach the core formation stage. Once I form my core, I can pass the profound origin bead on to my children. After all, unlike the Book of Malevolent Curses and Fates, it's not a one-off and can be passed down through generations. A smile appeared on Lu Changxing's face. In his view, this profound origin bead was much better than the Book of Malevolent Curses and Fates. Not only for individuals but also for the family and sect forces, it was an exceptional treasure. Overall, most family forces may face times of scarcity. And that's when the value of the profound origin bead becomes evident. It can stabilize a family with a semblance of foundation establishment, with a semblance of a false core. I am now at the 7th level of energy refinement, and I wonder how much this profound origin bead can enhance my own abilities. Lu Changxing did not ponder long, bit the tip of his tongue lightly, and sprayed a mouthful of blood onto the profound origin bead. In an instant, the treasure bead absorbed the blood, emitting a brilliant glow, transforming into a stream of light, and entered Lu Changxing's body, traveling along the meridians to hover above the chi ocean core. Immediately, Lu Changxing sat down cross-legged, closing his eyes to refine the profound origin bead and make it perfectly compatible with himself. A month later. 3rd floor of the spiritual talisman shop. It's truly a product of the system, a 3rd-rank treasure. The amount of spiritual energy this profound origin bead can store is about 8 or 9 times what I currently have. Lu Changxing looked inward at his dantian, gazing at the sapphire bead that had now turned into a blend of 7 colors, his face full of joy. After refining the profound origin bead, he could distinctly feel the spiritual energy inside his second dantian. Just like his own chi lake, the spiritual energy could circulate without any hindrances. With this profound origin bead, I no longer have to worry about running out of spiritual energy. Lu Changxing said joyfully. Then, with a subtle motion of his mental spirit, his fingers came together and a sword light began to form. Releasing spiritual power through spells, the force is roughly tripled due to spiritual pressure. If I exert full force, this amplification could rise a few more times. Lu Changxing gazed at the sword light in his hand, quietly sensing the changes in spiritual pressure. No wonder the profound origin bead only allows those at the energy refinement late stage to compare with foundation establishment and those at the foundation establishment late stage to compare with the false core. With this second dantian, The quantity of spiritual power I possess far exceeds that of energy refinement, almost comparing to foundation establishment. However, in terms of quality, it still cannot compare with a foundation establishment great cultivator. But my cultivation of the 7 luminaries' great freedom sword scripture, an orthodox level cultivation technique, means my foundation of spiritual power is already far superior to cultivators of the same level. By the time I peak in energy refinement, with the support of the profound origin bead, I might not be weaker than a foundation establishment great cultivator. Lu Changsheng's eyes narrowed slightly as he secretly thought. However, he also just thought about it. When he really reached the peak of energy refinement, he wouldn't rely on a treasure to attempt to challenge a foundation establishment great cultivator, who engages in battling across ranks for no reason. He wasn't the protagonist Long Out Yen. And Lu Changxing was very aware that he had a significant problem when it came to battling with spells. He had too few spells at his disposal. Aside from the 7 luminary sword light, 7 luminary sword shield, 7 luminary sword escape, he had only learned flame bullet technique and object manipulating technique, these common spells. He had neither learned nor practiced slightly more advanced defensive spells. He could only rely on talismans. This profound origin bead not only helps in battle but also aids in other areas. Now when I make talismans, I don't have to worry about the consumption of spiritual energy, just my mental spirit. Lu Changxing said happily. He usually had to meditate to recover his spiritual energy after exhausting it while drawing talismans. But now with the profound origin bead, he didn't have to worry about depleting his spiritual energy anymore. Moreover, after depleting the spiritual energy inside the profound origin bead, it could absorb nature's spiritual energy from the surroundings to slowly recover. I wonder if it's almost time for the Immortal Sect's conference. At this point, Lu Changxing suddenly remembered that in a few months, it would be time for Qingyun Sect's Immortal Sect assessment. He had previously promised to send Xia Zhaoyang to Qingyun Sect for the Immortal Sect assessment. Forget it, considering the current season, going out might be risky. It would be the same if I had Hong Yi or Fei Yu take Xia Zhaoyang there. Lu Changxing thought it over and decided not to make the trip. Although with his current strength and means, as long as he didn't encounter a foundation establishment great cultivator, it was unlikely anything would happen to him. But it was better to have one less matter to worry about. Immediately, Lu Changxing wrote several letters and went to the marketplace post station to have them delivered to Rui County City. Time passed by, day after day. In the blink of an eye, another month went by. During this time, the 3 maids from White Jade Tower whom Lu Changxing had recently taken in were all pregnant. Lu Changxing didn't pay much attention to the 3 maids. He just let nature take its course. After all, such matters were neither urgent nor could they be hurried. If he truly wanted to engage in frenzied procreation, he had the 5 aggregates proliferation method within the yin-yang harmony technique, which could increase the probability of conception. Second Master, that Fairy Su has come back to place another talisman order. That day, as Lu Changxing was on the 3rd floor studying the history of cultivation, the voice of shopkeeper Zhang Shan came from outside. Chapter 216, Danger. I must prepare for the worst. Alright, it'll come down now. Lu Changxing nodded when he heard this. This Fairy Su, named Su Hongyu, was a major customer of the spiritual talisman shop. She had purchased quite a few talismans from the shop over the past few months. So under such circumstances, it was necessary for him, the owner, to attend to her personally. When he arrived at the reception hall on the 1st floor, he immediately saw a woman who appeared to be in her late 20s, with a beautiful face and dressed in a simple yet elegant purple palace dress. I've seen Fairy Su before. Lu Changxing greeted her with a smile, as warm as the spring breeze. Talisman Master Lu is here. I've come this time to place a pre-order for a batch of talismans. Su Hongyu spoke with a smile upon seeing Lu Changxing, her voice warm and alluring. She then handed over a talisman procurement list. Clad in her simple and graceful palace dress, she looked elegant and decent, yet her every move radiated a seductive charm. No problem, it will take around half a month for the shop to prepare these talismans, Lu Changxing said after glancing at the list. That's fine. Su Hongyu, upon hearing his response, was quite straightforward and then signed the contract and paid the deposit. After everything was settled, Fairy Su turned to Lu Changxing, smiled gracefully and said, Talisman Master Lu, I've come across an ancient cave dwelling left by a predecessor outside and am currently looking for a few fellow cultivators to explore it together. Would you be interested? Fairy Sue's invitation honors me greatly, but I am not skilled in combat, so I will have to decline. Lu Changxing courteously declined as soon as he heard her invitation. To be honest, this cave dwelling has certain prohibitions that are difficult to break at the moment, which is why I need to find companions for the exploration, Su Hongyu explained. But if the cultivator's cultivation level is too high, I worry they might covet the treasures for themselves. Talisman Master Lu is not of high cultivation, and being a Lu family disciple and the owner of the spiritual talisman shop, you are obviously trustworthy, which is why I sincerely invited you. Su Hongyu twisted her slender waist slightly and crossed her legs in a somewhat seductive manner as she spoke. My abilities are limited, I will not take part, but thank you for the kind offer, Fairy Su. Lu Changxing continued to refuse. And at that moment, a sense of wariness rose in his heart. Although he had conducted business with her several times, they hadn't had much contact. The sudden invitation to explore a cave dwelling made him suspicious. Furthermore, as a man who had been through numerous battles and read countless books, Lu Changxing could tell that the Su Hongyu before him seemed adept in bewitching techniques, aiming to seduce him with her demeanor and actions. Combining this with the recent situation of the Lu family, Lu Changxing couldn't help but overthink. However, he didn't care about such matters. Even if it was a trap, as long as he didn't take the bait, there would be no harm. Besides, Lu Changxing was truly uninterested in these kinds of adventures seeking ancient relics and cave dwellings. With all that idle time, he would rather go home and have a couple more kids. Not only would the system accompany the child money, but the kids could also enhance his spiritual root and strength. Since Talisman Master Lu is not interested, then I will have to look elsewhere, Su Hongyu said with a tinge of disappointment, but without insisting and still smiling. Half a month later, Zhang Shan told Lu Changxing that Fairy Su had come again. Talisman Master Lu. Su Hongyu greeted Lu Changxing with a smile. This time she was wearing a luxurious golden magical robe. The robe shimmered with spiritual light and was adorned with vivid and lifelike embroidery of a mythic bird. Lu Changxing could tell at a glance that it was at least a high-quality magical robe, if not a supreme one. Regarding her behavior, however, Lu Changxing just felt she was not right in the head. Wearing such a conspicuous garment could attract unwanted attention like a lamb ripe for the slaughter. Fairy Su, the talismans you ordered before have been prepared. Please take a look, Lu Changxing said without any further glances, taking out a pile of talismans from his storage bag. I naturally trust Talisman Master Lu. Su Hongyu took the talismans, glanced at them and smiled. After paying the remaining amount of spirit stones, Su Hongyu continued, I was wondering if you have any first-grade prohibition-breaking talismans here? Prohibition-breaking talismans? The prohibition-breaking talisman is a first-grade supreme talisman, very difficult to create. I'm not sure how many you need, Fairy Su, but if it's only one or two, I can request one of the family elders to draw them, Lu Changxing replied. Prohibition-breaking talismans belong to the category of first-grade supreme talismans, their difficulty akin to second-rank talismans. Even for the fourth elder, the success rate of crafting them was not high. Yet for Lu Changxing it wasn't really a problem. However, as a business transaction he couldn't offer more than that. The more the better, Su Hongyu said. She continued with a charming smile, Talisman Master Lu, I need the prohibition-breaking talismans for the final stage of my previous cave-dwelling exploration. It's a shame Talisman Master Lu did not come along last time. Not only was it safe, but I also made quite a profit, allowing me to afford this new magical robe, Su Hongyu said, beaming. Congratulations then, Fairy Su. Lu Changxing said, his heart remaining undisturbed as he congratulated her with a smile. He immediately added, as for the prohibition-breaking talisman, our shop can only provide one or two, anything more is truly beyond our ability. Since prohibition-breaking talismans had a low success rate, even the fourth elder couldn't make much profit from them. They were essentially crafted for the sake of the shop's reputation and were sold only in small quantities. Seeing that Lu Changxing was still not tempted, Su Hongyu paid a deposit, chatted briefly and then left. There's definitely something wrong, it's absolutely a trap. After Su Hongyu had left, Lu Changxing went back to the third floor, feeling increasingly certain that Su Hongyu was up to something. She was luring him away from the marketplace. This Su Hongyu, her backers might even be the same people who tried to assassinate Sister Miaoga, Lu Changxing thought to himself. But it's a pity that I have limited strength. Otherwise I could follow her bait, turn the tables and investigate the truth, he mused. You're tuning in to the Phantom Sword Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.